the fastest way to lose power is to gain,
to go for it.
yeah, and so it's like that's such a cool principle. Like we can be just as effective
without being
sitting on the fucking throne.
Heavy as the head that wears the crown.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
like, you can kind of maybe influence more things and do more of what you want to do when you don't have that microscope.
You can have that level of influence, still maintain your own autonomy, right, as the institution, and still steer things the same amount, if not more, than the emperor himself in the realm.
Should have given Walken more lines.
Which one's that?
Christopher Walken. They should have given him more lines.
That is
at the
I
end.
love
At
if he
the
showed
end,
up and he's
there's
like,
a lot of
"I'm
shit
the
that the
emperor."
emperor actually
Honestly,
says.
That's pretty much what he did.
Honestly,
Yeah.
like that.
And the stuff he says
happened.
is sort of verbatim from the book. Like he does say, like the thing where he's like, "Tell me
All I
about the
see is
South."
sand.
Shows that
If you
sign
talk
of
to
human
the
activity.
Jesuit that way
Like,
again, I'm
that
gonna
is
stab you in the
word
face
for
with
word.
a tire
They should have
iron.
given it
What's
to
all
Sorry.
this sand? It's bullshit.
So
No, your people, they were spawned by dark-skinned individuals in the South.
what the
They were
honestly, out of all the
The
casting in the
ancestors,
movies, I
egg
thought
plants.
I love Christopher Walken too, man. But I thought that was the weakest one.
Yeah.
No, that's
'Cause he
the
really
problem
does-
is if he came in and he was like,
And he didn't
"I'm
go full
Christopher
Walken.
Walken,"
Yeah.
that would have been hilarious.
But I think I get what they're trying to do. I guess they're trying
What
to
up,
really
David?
play up the fact
What
that
up?
Walken past his prime and he's ineffective. You know, like,
also, man, like that's a big name to be attached to a movie who like doesn't do a lot of stuff anymore.
for sure. Oh,
Who
totally.
Walken?
That's
You
a
know what I mean?
huge
Like-
get. Dude. When Christopher Walken's
Yeah.
playing the Emperor, immediately it's like,
Oh,
well, I want to
shit.
see that.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
Say shit, you can just
Dude,
sit there and
they
like.
should have had Steve Buscemi do it.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
dude.
Same
Honestly, Steve Buscemi should have been Cal Finner.
Yes.
Steve
Oh, that
Buscemi
would've
should have
good.
been
That
While
would've
we're
been
talking
really
about it,
good.
Steve
That would've made a
Buscemi
lot of
also
sense,
should have
too.
been golf.
Mannerisms of a rabbit.
Yeah, dude.
That would've been good.
Mannerisms of a rabbit, but he's one of the most deadly assassins in the Imperial. I love it, dude.
Okay, hold on. Before we get away from Christopher Walken, have you guys heard the story about him on the set of some movie where man, I forget who it was. They brought their like bulldog to work, you know? And Christopher Walken is like later after me and dog, you know, it's like doesn't say a lot apparently. He's like, you know, whoever it was like comes up to him and they're like, oh, you know, it's really great to meet you. And he goes, you know, your dog, it has no tail. That's the story.
That's it.
Okay, well, can you imagine just
Is
like
that one of the
you're like so stoked about meeting Christopher Walken,
Yeah.
And that's
you know,
all he has to say.
That's all
and
he
that's
says.
all he says. You know, your
Yeah.
dog, it has no tail.
Okay,
Have you ever
that's
seen,
amazing.
have you ever seen Suicide Kings?
No.
The
I haven't.
one where he's the mobster that they tie him in the chair. He spends the whole movie duct taped to a chair, and it's him and like the dude from Boondock Saints and the kid from E.T. and
This doesn't sound like a real movie.
Jay Moore. Yeah, it's called Suicide Kings.
No,
It's
I
fucking
believe
great.
that it's a real movie. Just like you describing this to me, who has
Dennis
never heard
Leary
of it.
is like
and never
his
seen it.
hitman. Dennis Leary's like his muscle guy that's like looking
Okay,
for him
again,
the whole
this
movie. They
doesn't-
kidnap him. He's like this super deadly mobster. It's fucking great, dude. It's so good.
So Dennis Leary, Christopher Walken's duct taped to a chair. There's the
Yes.
kid from E.T.
Yes.
And who was the fourth person?
The guy from Boondock Saints.
Okay, that's
And
the
then Jay Moore is in it.
strangest collection of people.
And there's another guy. Yeah, it's a good movie. Oh, the
Wow.
kid from Big Bang Theory is in it. The main character, the little wiry haired
Dude,
glasses guy.
Okay, again, this sounds like you're just making this up.
It's
I
a-
know that you're not.
It's a great film. I've got it on, I literally have the DVD in my house. I just got it out of the box.
Again, it's not that I'm saying, Chance, you're full of shit. I don't believe you. I'm just like, again,
Oh, I
I've
know.
never
I'm just
heard
giving
of
you
this.
even more background. It's fucking great.
I've never heard of this. And the way you just described it right now, I'm like, this is not real.
It's so good.
Bullshit.
It's so good.
If this is behind the curtain, I would say that's a fake.
Yeah, exactly right. Like,
But-
I'm gonna go home and Wikipedia that and it's not gonna be real thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn it, he got me.
But this is not behind the curtain. This is a different podcast. Welcome, Alice, to the 40th episode of the book club.
Hell
Doing
yeah.
this 40 consecutive months. So little over 3 years.
That's awesome, man.
And we have our guest pillow.
Yeah, Pillow is joining
Hi.
us this evening.
Fluffy.
Also joining us this evening, we have the great and powerful Connor Spillane, the great
Hello.
and powerful Will Hammond, and the great and powerful Chancellor Ruster. What do y'all have coming up that you want to let the world know about?
Well, Carnival's got a lot coming up.
Yeah.
So take out your cell phone and make some notes, folks. Playing Holler of Doom in July 11th and 12th up in London, Kentucky.
I will be there as well. I took
Oh,
Alex,
you're coming?
there? Yep.
Dude,
Yep.
fuck yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
July 11th and 12th.
July 11th and 12th.
Okay.
It's a really fucking awesome sort of DIY stoner and doom festival and great grounds. I mean, they have really a cool setup for. There's nothing funky about it. It's actually like hilariously professional for being a
Absolutely.
little.
I mean, I'll drive myself, but can I come with you to that thing?
Oh, I'm riding with Loading, so you'll have to ask Josh.
Okay. So we're playing East Room July 25th. Then we're playing Louisville and Chicago in August 22nd and August 23rd. Planted the tapes in Louisville on the 22nd, Chicago at Liars Club on the 23rd.
Hell yeah.
We got Possum Stock down here in Adams, Tennessee, the 5th
Yeah.
and the 6th. We're stoked to play that this year.
Rabbit Hole
September.
will be there.
What's
as well.
that?
5th and 6th of September.
Yeah, 5th and 6th of September. Yeah, 5th and 6th of September. And then we make our way down to Austin, September 18th through September 21st for Ripple Fest.
Oh, yeah.
Karma Vulture's first time playing Ripple Fest. We're also very stoked for that.
Yes, yep, we are.
Yeah, so that's
Hell yeah.
It's gonna be fun late summer and early fall pros.
And we are writing
Yeah.
new tunes for you lovely people. So
Yep.
Ooh,
show
yeah.
up and show out. You're
We're
gonna
gonna play a bunch of them on the 25th.
Yeah.
you're gonna see some new
New music
a lot of
is
new
exciting.
songs coming up in the next few months.
Hell yeah. Y'all are
I'll
like,
definitely be there for those.
y'all are one of those bands that I like the songs I already know so much that I'm like, no, I'm gonna do this stuff. Just keep playing. But then I hear new shit and I'm like, no, this is awesome.
Man, I think
Like y'all can't really do any wrong.
well,
Well,
thank
thanks,
you,
man.
Thank you. I mean,
Yeah.
we certainly
Yeah,
can.
dude.
However, I will say, man, I think maybe with some recency bias attached, but I think the new tunes. I think people are gonna like the new tunes. I think they're
Yes.
they're as good as anything we've written so
Yeah.
far, and I'm pretty proud of what we got.
I think, man, to be honest with you, without going into too much of a KV backstory here, Ben, the last album we released, Something Better, was the first time that we had ever really written with Ben.
Really?
Yeah.
For like an entire, like having like all of the sessions we're writing with Ben, right? It wasn't like he came in and we had a couple songs. It was, it was still very new. I think and Ben's a great songwriter, but like the overall process was new. Connor and I are both songwriters, bringing him in, and we loved what we did for Something Better. But honestly, looking at that now, 3-4 years later from when we started writing the songs, I think our chemistry and our collective songwriting ability is much better now. You know what I mean? I think it's even more cohesive, and ultimately, I think it kind of means we're coming more into our own as a band. You know what I mean? Like it's
Every show y'all play is so unique too. Like I've seen y'all play so many times, but like you got so many tricks up your sleeve. Like just bleeding in and out of different songs, super cool.
I mean, that was like that recently. I think we were all just bored,
Playing the same songs,
playing the
man,
same
yeah.
shit. And like, it was something we've talked about before, but this time especially, I was just like, all right, the three of us are like, we're good musicians, dude. I enjoy just playing. Like we play well together. Why don't we just fuck around a little bit on stage? Like it doesn't have to be totally freeform. It doesn't have to be totally put together either. But it's like, let's come with some rough bass lines and fuck around in between songs. Like, no, I don't have to talk. We get to play, which we're good at, and hopefully people are there to see. So it's like,
Yeah. Chance, what you got coming up?
Oh yeah, we're playing the 1st of July at the Cobra.
Who's
A
we?
couple of bands from Mexico. Catch Fire. I'm sorry. Yeah.
like,
Thank you very much. I gotta get better at this. Catch Fire is playing at the Cobra July 1st with a couple of bands from Mexico City, actually, that
Hell yeah.
Travis got us hooked up with, and they sound really interesting. And I'm looking for the name. I can't find it, but and then we're also going to play August 20th there as well. We just got back from New York, and then we're going to Gulf Shores to play a couple of like cover sets.
The fuck is Gulf Shores?
Gulf Shores,
Alabama?
Oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah, down by the ocean-ish. So
Down by
Cross's
the river.
parents live there.
Yeah.
This one's
Yeah,
fun, but like
based by
we've been doing a lot of really like longer sets. We've been playing like an hour of like originals and kind of an hour of covers and stuff.
And you guys just went on tour too, right?
Yeah, basically.
on
I mean,
the
we
road,
just
man,
yeah,
like
we went
little-
yeah, we went to New York and played 2 shows there. We played once in Harlem and then once in Greenwich Village, which was the first
Oh,
time I'd
that's
ever
cool.
been in
That's
New
really
York.
cool,
Oh,
man.
it was great.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's
the,
awesome.
Just the whole vibe there. Like I didn't expect to like that city, just being there as much as I did, and just like, oh my God, it was the best. Like there were so many people that were just literally on the street, just in and out of that club. Like,
See,
and
that's-
it's not
that's
like
cool
we
too,
didn't
man.
promote it, but
Right.
like, I mean, there's 50 or 60 people in there on like a Thursday and a Saturday night that have just walked by, and it was so.
I'm sorry, I'm stoned. What were the dates again coming up?
July 1st at the Cobra, and then August 20th at the Cobra.
Hell
And then
yeah.
we've got a couple of other things that kind of pinned in between now
That's
and
what's
then.
up.
But yeah,
Well, when
it's-
you're done watching this, go check out Karma Vulture and Catch Fire. And then also, replaced by the pillow that was there earlier, we have the one and only David Pinna joining us as well. Follow him at Gaze Within on Instagram. That's not gaze, like
It's
Gays.
not gays.
It's not gaze like that. It's gaze.
I swear.
He promises.
The Gaze Within.
Yeah, so definitely go check him out. He does a lot of really cool visual art, like comic books made with photography. It's really cool. But with no further ado, let's talk about Dune.
Here
in
we
June.
go.
Dune in
June,
June.
Dune.
I would like to say my favorite piece of Dune lore is that they're by choice constantly shitting their pants. All the time.
Still suits you mean?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
all they do,
Yep.
like on purpose, intentionally. That's probably
Recycling body
one of my
fluids
favorite Dune
to
Yeah.
it's pretty heinous, man.
Okay. Just as a funny aside, have you guys
Have you guys ever drank your own?
Yeah,
shit
you guys ever
piss?
shit your pants?
And then ate it?
so
Have you ever replenished your nutrition?
J.K. Rowling used to try and fill in some of the Harry Potter lore until people asked her to stop. For instance, she used to say that she put out on Twitter that like, so before plumbing, before Muggle plumbing, the wizards used to just shit anywhere really, and then make it disappear. And everyone was like, "Hey, could you shut the fuck up,
Please,
please?"
you just stop. Leave a little mystery. So basically, they was like,
We don't have to explain everything.
Who-
Yeah, the fact that
Yeah.
that's canon makes that the best thing in Harry Potter.
They just
by
sit
Absolutely.
far.
They just
Absolutely.
evaporate.
But also the hilarious thing about that, much like a lot of things with Dune, Dune takes itself so incredibly seriously.
Yep.
Right? Like, and so the way Frank describes the workings of the still suit with the environment and like the amount of conviction and the amount of like detail that he spends on it, it's just like, well, damn, I guess that does, make sense. You know what I mean? Like he just ends up like, and
Sure.
you're like, all right, like, I guess how else would they get
No, like-
water
like-
if
No, you're right.
If,
Arrakis
like-
is hardcore. You need water so bad
that you're
that you're not expelling shit.
no
You're
they
not expelling shit
No.
because you need that. You
Yep.
need
it's
that
for the
water.
survival. If they didn't
It's
have this, they're
hardcore.
fucking.
It's actually really cool to shit your pants.
and then it's,
It's really
yeah.
cool.
Pants is cool,
Yeah.
considering
Yeah.
Miles
He
Davis.
flipped the script.
According to the
I mean,
front.
dude, okay, but
That
okay.
scene is basically Dune in a nutshell. There
Yeah.
you go.
Look, and like clowning on it is funny. However, that's my favorite part of Dune. Is like I don't give a fuck about science fiction, dude. I don't care about this genre of work. But Frank Herbert is a genius, dude. The level of detail that he and his wife put into every
Mhm.
single aspect of the book is like why I was
Yeah.
just like, bro, I guess I'm just gonna read all
It's
of
so
these now.
impressive. And it's why it's confusing for a lot of people too. I think when they first get into it,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
start reading this book and it's like, man, there might be 3 or 4 terms that you're hit with in the first like 200 pages that all describe the same thing. You know what I mean? You're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? It's
Right.
like, no,
Also,
it's
From
but it's
different
very
languages and perspectives.
I say all
exactly.
the
You know
time.
what I mean? Yeah, it's
Something I say all the
So
time is
immersive.
Dune is a fantasy novel. It's my favorite
Well, it's
fantasy.
the Lord of the Rings of
It's-
sci-fi.
Well,
And that's
yeah.
a very reductive way to put it.
But I feel like it's
that
that's what it's
detailed.
cons-
Like
it's
you can
equally
see the whole
magic.
life developing
It has
this
sci-fi elements, but it's so
thought
equally
process.
magic
Agreed.
and fantasy as
Yeah.
well. Like, I mean, it's magic to the point where it's technology.
Right.
It's like it rides that line in such an interesting way, especially like the Benny Gesserit stuff. Like that's something I really appreciated about the Dune prophecy is like the way they do witchcraft in a scientific way.
Yeah,
It's
and
really
it makes
cool.
me wonder, like, to what level like psychedelics were involved with he and his wife, as far as like, because you think
They were
about the different
teetotalers.
schools of, and see,
He
I
was-
wasn't necessarily aware of that. And
Yeah,
like,
he drank a little bit, but he was not like Philip K. Dick status where he was just like,
describes like the different schools of thought and like the evolution of the human mind, like the mentats essentially becoming like human computers. The Bene Gesserit unlock a completely different aspect of
skill
human
set. Yeah.
like psyche and consciousness.
Evolution
you
in
know?
a way. It's like human, it's like, they
And like then like the Fremen are literally the ultimate universal survivors. Like they exist on the harshest planet imaginable with, again, like the level of like their technology isn't exactly technology, but they're wearing a suit that recycles every ounce of moisture that their body produces
Just
in order so that
incredibly
they can
resourceful,
survive, just
yeah.
so they can live. Not forget
Shit's
about
hard.
fighting and killing the
Yeah.
shit that lives on the planet, much less the fucking
No, but
Harkonnens
everything
and,
is trying
you know,
to kill you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Also,
including
including
the weather.
God. Like God is this
Shai-Hulud,
giant.
Shai-Hulud,
God.
yeah.
and we
God
love
is
it.
trying to
Like,
kill you.
Yeah,
That's
You
such
have to trick God. You have to put a thing
yeah.
so you can trick
Yeah.
God into survival. God is against you.
Yeah, man.
that's
It's so hardcore.
that's one of the coolest things about Dune, and it's like I guess it'd be kind of hard, maybe not hard, but to show this in a television series or certainly a movie because you're pressed for time, it could get a little daunting. But like, there's like 150 pages. I don't know, maybe more of the book. It's in the second of the 3 books that comprise the first Dune, right? Because they were all published at 3 separate times.
Let me break in just real quick.
Yeah.
Because people might not know that.
Right.
Dune was originally released in 3 different parts and then later compiled into that.
Yes.
Well, and before that, and I forget which publication,
It-
but
it was some science magazine.
was it a
right?
science magazine? Okay.
Something like that, where they
Wow.
would
But-
just post like excerpts or a
Yeah.
chapter at a time or something like
Well,
that.
no, I
or
mean
a few-
he had written some of this
Yeah.
story that was being published, and the person that ended up editing it, apparently really did a lot of the legwork and like telling Frank like, okay, no, like you have to rework all of this because this is fucking genius. Like
Right,
this is a really cool story. Throw that away and start over.
Okay.
And like if you read
and write it to be like a
yes, precisely.
yeah,
And if you read some of the original like excerpts from whatever science publication or whatever,
right.
some of the names are the same and like thematically, I guess, but it is just like
Oh, so it's not that.
no,
It's
not
interesting.
exactly. No,
I
it's
didn't
not
know
a
that.
prequel. It's just like a part of a Dune story that they were like, okay,
Oh.
you have to do this.
So
for
it's
real.
not the book that we get.
Analog
Wow.
science fiction.
Wow.
Wow.
And yeah, Analog Science Fiction and Fact magazine. So it was initially published as a serial. Excuse
Yeah.
me.
And what you're
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
is
That's
that
how the
was a
Gunslinger was
completely different
published. That's
thing
crazy.
than
I didn't
the
know
first
that.
book.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't know
the
that at
editor,
all.
again, someone can check my details here, but because I this was something I read a couple of years ago at this point. But again, the editor, the guy that ended up editing it was like, no, you have something I also didn't realize too is that Frank Herbert's wife was like
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
involved
definitely.
in
Yeah,
a lot
definitely.
of
Yeah.
the details.
Well,
of
at the
story.
very end of the whole, not to give spoilers, but like he and his wife
No, we can do
essentially like sort of show
Oh,
up
we
at
gotta-
the end
there's-
of the
there's enough to
whole,
talk about
the
the
whole
first book.
series.
We got-
Yes. Okay. Hold on. Also, one of my favorite things about Dune and Frank Herbert that I was kind of an aside from
Yeah, I
earlier
didn't-
was like he, unlike J.R. Tolkien, he respects the reader. He likes the reader.
Mm.
J.R. Tolkien,
No.
He hates us.
What's that saying? He
He
writes like a
hates us.
chore.
my dad says that
Yeah.
J.R. Tolkien writes as though it were a painful chore.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
Dune's fun.
Dune is fun.
It's
Well, like
it's also a chore.
you're just
it
you're
is.
just thrown. There's no hand holding. Like you're just
Right.
spat into this fucking world. And he's
Yeah.
like, you'll either catch up or you'll stop reading. Have fun.
Well,
Yeah.
so okay, so I was gonna say is like you have like 100 to 150 pages where it's just like Lady Jessica and Paul, they're wandering in the desert, right?
Mm.
Like they're making their trek inevitably to meet up with the Fremen, right? Where they're gonna fully immerse themselves in their culture. But like there are parts of it, like maybe the first time you read it, that kind of seem like a slog, right? But as it fucking builds, like it's so crucial to the overall arc of both Lady Jessica and Paul. But then once they make contact with the Fremen, and you're just like all of a sudden immersed in the Fremen culture, and you start to find out the relationship that they have with the sandworms, right? And it's so detailed. There's so much information you get, and it's a part of the book that, like, for the most part, is devoid of action. You know what I mean? Like, it is just really day to day adjusting to the Fremen lifestyle. There's a couple cool points on in there, but it's kind of a slug. But somehow he makes it very interesting at the same time, and you end up like coming out of that being like, okay, what the fuck? I have so many more questions, and now I can't wait to see like what he's actually going to show us or tell us next. You know what I mean? Like when you realize that the sandworms are their god,
Yeah.
right? And then obviously there's, I think, the like ultimate scene of that whole storyline is him riding the sandworm.
Right.
So that whole second book really lends itself, like it just leads up to him being a sand rider, right?
Yeah.
But
Which
it's
then
like
none of the
150
things he
pages
do.
of just like, okay, they're still walking through the desert. Okay. All right. We're getting interesting personal tidbits. Where's this going? Where's this going? And it gets kind of confusing. Then you find out some more. It gets confusing again. But then at the very end, the way he fucking puts a bow on everything and makes you want to learn more, I think it's very impressive by his.
And there's those
his
little
style.
breadcrumbs all throughout like the first book of like it mentions like the Orange Catholic Bible, and there'll be like a quote from that, and then there'll be like a mention of the Butlerian Jihad or whatever, and you're like, wait, what the fuck is that? They'll say things like thinking machines, and like when I was like the first time I tried to read it, I think I was like, I don't know, like a freshman or a sophomore or whatever, and like wrapping my brain around the phrase thinking machines and like what is it? Oh, it means a computer. Okay.
Standalone
And
is
like
such a cool concept.
yeah. The
Like
whole thing
this-
about the AI too is like weirdly prophetic and
now very
So that's how
contextual. You know,
that's
like,
the backlore to Dune is AI.
yeah.
And
But all
there's,
those little pieces just in that first book, like you said, that like make you want to know. And again,
It's
I
confusing,
agree
but
with you about
it's like, I
like
wanna
the
know
difference is that it does make you like engage to a point where it doesn't feel like a chore.
Well, he trusts the reader.
Yeah.
Like again, either right, like
he
he's
doesn't
not
think you're stupid.
exactly,
Yeah.
and he's not going to hold your hand.
Yeah.
Again, you're just like hooked into you're yeeted into this story
as the kids say, yeet it into Dune.
with like no real, like he's not like, okay, let's explain this for a while. He's just like, and you're fucking here, and I trust you to be able to catch up and deal with it and learn and figure it out. And if you can't, like, you're just gonna put this away. And like what, 1 billion people didn't put it down. So I mean, he was right.
So
like,
okay, so to that, dude. The first time, so I've read this 3 times, right? I read the book 3 times. The first time that I read it, each chapter starts off with an excerpt. A lot of them end up being from Princess Irulan. Maybe they're all
I'm so
they're
glad
all
you
are in the
brought
first
They
book,
aren't all,
but most of them, right?
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up also. That's one of my favorite parts of Dune is the
It's-
letters from Irulan.
It's so cool,
Yeah.
and it's such a cool touch.
I'm gonna pee. Y'all go.
Okay, so that's how each chapter starts out, and then basically, fairly quickly after the Atreides are introduced in the book, they, it starts hinting at the fact that like, there might be a traitor in the house,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
There's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and so okay, and so he's already got that idea in your mind, right? And you're thinking about it, but then. And it's kind of like, okay, well, who's going to portray Leto, right?
Yeah.
Who's this guy that everyone fucking loves? He's a reformer. He's probably
and they very
only-
much lean into Jessica. They try to make you think
right, and that's such a cool plot point they left out of the movie. I digress. But Leto is like, he's basically the only guy in the book who's actually a really fucking good guy.
Yes.
Okay, but so that's in your mind, right? Who the fuck's a traitor? And then all of a sudden, man, also just a few chapters in the book, the opening snippet from Irulan is Yui.
Yeah.
1,000 deaths
Yeah,
for you,
yeah.
and wouldn't be enough.
yeah.
And it's basically like he just tells you before the thing actually happens in
Right
the story.
before the reveal comes.
That's
And
Dr.
the
Hughes is
characters
the
don't know
traitor.
who it is,
Yeah, and
but
you-
you do.
The characters, and I remember the
I
first
love
time
that.
reading that being like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Shit,
That
you
is
just told me.
brings out
But
holy
then
genius.
you
You're
get to
not
that.
supposed to do that as an author.
But then
And
you
he's like, no, actually.
check this out, dude. And then
Yeah.
he fucking just gives it away, right? But then and then the plot line with is Jessica the traitor? Is she not? That really thickens. You know she's not, but no one else.
She calls out Hawat, that scene where like she calls out Thurser.
So good, dude. And but then it gets to the actual on the Atreides, and even though you know it's coming with Dr. You Smooth,
Thanks, dude.
that was very. I can see you're training the ways of Prana Bindu.
Alcoholic.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a non-alcoholic drinker
Yeah,
sometimes.
seltzer or soda.
No, I think it's seltzer. Although that soda, Dr. K and cream soda, what the
Yeah,
Really
0
interesting.
cal.
dude, what the fuck is that? Anyway, you-
I'm listening to you.
I'll take a sparkling water if you got it.
One of the things
So-
that I
so-
do.
So
let me-
once you get to the point where you actually betrays them,
Yeah.
even though you know it's coming, the way he unfolds that aspect of the story.
Mm.
It's so fucking good, man. Like the
Yeah.
entire interaction with him and Leto, who was signed
Right,
up with
because you don't
Dune,
expect him to sort of like set Leto up for success and all that. You
And
just
he's-
expect him to
and
be
he's
a
also
betrayer.
just like,
It's way
I'm
more
sorry.
complicated than that.
but like I'm trying to save my wife,
But dude,
You are the
knows-
bargain
he
that I
knows
made.
she's dead.
But
I
I've got
feel
Paul,
like
though.
he
I've set Paul
knows
up.
in his heart that she's dead.
he
And,
probably
like,
does.
You know,
he probably
but-
does.
So the thing about
And
the-
he gets
the
it either way.
prefaces to the chapters that I love is like you said, most of them are entries from Princess Irulan. There's one of them that I've always marked that I love. It's the dirge for Jamis at the funeral playing from Songs from Moadib. Do you wrestle with dreams? Do you contend with shadows? Do you move in a kind of sleep? Time has slipped away. Your life was stolen. You tarnished with trifles, victim of your folly. Like
Nice.
just you know, in the fact that he thought that stuff out and like gave it that context, it's really fucking interesting.
I mean, dude, again, like that's like why I just
Book
I don't
club's a
give a
little
fuck
different this time around, folks. So I
This
hope you
is
enjoy it.
I don't care about like most. Yeah, I just like science fiction is not something where I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm big into science. But
I know
like
what you
Frank
mean.
was just like all these different things that are just so well done about this book.
Right, right.
Is incredible.
The
Like
world
the
building
little
is
snippet,
fucking insanely.
Yeah.
little snippet of poetry that's like really pretty awesome poetry. Like,
Right.
dude, what?
Yeah.
And it just almost like not throwaway, that's not the right term, but it's just like maybe 3 lines in a chapter that otherwise is focused on something totally.
Yep.
Just 3 little lines, you're like, no, that's actually like beautiful though.
Yeah, it is.
That was
Like this,
beautiful or
this-
prophetic or just
right.
you know.
Yeah. No,
So then-
he's got a way of doing that.
The other thing is like the aspect of like imperfect prophecy. Like he sees Jamis as like supposed to be his teacher, but real early on, like he even knows that his visions aren't right,
They're,
or that
they
and
could.
then-
It's like it's just all different options.
yeah,
right? So
and
it's not
constantly
necessarily
up
what
towards the end, he's trying to steer it away from the jihad. Like,
Terrible
he
purpose.
Doesn't yeah, exactly. Like and that whole
Terrible
thing
purpose.
with his one character
Pretty
is great. Like I mean, the individual characterizations are amazing, and again with his wife, like the inclusion of women in a prominent, like very like I mean, agency is the only word you can really use, but like they have like equal footing in this universe. You know what I mean, to a certain extent.
I
And
feel
like,
like, sorry.
yeah, no, that's all I'm saying. I think that's pretty progressive or whatever at the time.
It is pretty funny that he like made it's like sorry Star Wars fans before the Jedi. No, it's just like a group of badass bitches who are like, at
Yeah.
any point we could basically get anyone anywhere in the universe to do what the fuck we want them to do,
I think the
but
other
we're
thing,
just gonna
the other
chill
cool
about
thing
it.
about Dune is there is like a Shakespearean. This is all a metaphor.
Yeah.
It's like religious text a little bit.
Mhm.
Like he has a message that he's communicating as like a stage play. It's like, what do they say? Dune is a space opera,
totally.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like it gives it that like special of like this is not only is this great, this is important.
Right.
Totally.
This is like valuable to humanity.
What he speaks to in terms of like religion, politics, I think just sort of social philosophy in general, if you will, in the culture. I mean, and
he's trying to
how
tell you something.
how the environment
Frank wants to entertain you.
affects
He also
And
wants to
culture and
educate
like
you.
cultural appropriation and
It's-
things like that, or whatever that term means, or whatever. Like
it's part of the reason
the
why
value of different, like
He's
just
trying to do something good. He's not just
Yeah.
telling a story. He's trying to communicate a message to people.
so a lot of people at this point consider Dune to be soft sci-fi.
Mm. Was it?
because it kind of like what you're saying, like you don't really give a shit about sci-fi, and I was mentioned fantasy earlier. It's like it kind of straddles that line of like, well, there's not aliens in there. You don't really fucking have robots or like these other
I didn't think about
creatures.
that.
It's
That's
a
good
very
point.
humanistic
Right. Portrayal of,
future,
like,
right?
the
It's just
future.
set basically 20,000
And the
years in
tech
the
they
future.
have is basically just borderline magic.
Or,
like, they
or
take
you could
drugs
say it's just like,
and get super mind powers.
and it's yeah,
E-
that
even
was
even
20,000
even
years
the
ago.
weapons they use,
What did you say, David?
even the weapons they use, kind of like go with that.
Yeah.
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 The fact that they don't use projectile weapons, they have the shield technology, so they had to revert to
Yeah.
like hand-to-hand combat because
Yeah.
just guns don't necessarily work, but they only work in the desert because you can't wear shields in the desert.
That is a good point. Is it takes it back to a fairy tale setting, but it's in the future.
Yeah.
It's like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars, they use swords.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's and in fact,
Almost exactly like Star Wars.
almost
It's-
it's
it's
suspiciously, and it's not that Dune's like Star Wars. It's suspiciously like Star Wars is like Dune. It's
I was
weird.
not aware of that.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
George Lucas was like, it's pretty dope.
But like on the same
Dude,
tip,
that's pretty dope.
like, we're talking about how Dune is a
Shame
fantasy
if somebody just
and not a
stole it.
sci-fi. Specifically, episode 4.
Dude.
No, of, of Star Wars, specifically the first one, is about a knight going to save the princess
Mhm.
from the evil wizard, and he uses a sword and magic to do it.
Yeah.
Like that is what Star Wars is.
Yeah.
Super basic.
Yeah, like so it's like it's got the aesthetic of sci-fi, but it's very much a fantasy. And I think that's such a cool. For me, it always fits more neatly in fantasy than sci-fi. And I didn't think about it, but y'all are right. Like the tech too. Like there really isn't much of anything to make this sci-fi. They have helicopters.
I mean, like
Everything else is magic.
I mean, the first thing, so when learning about the Bene Gesserit, as you read the book and you figure out more and more about them, it's like, oh, okay, I could buy this. So the book's essentially set 20,000 years in the future from where we are now, 10,000 years after the fall of the thinking machines, right? Sorry, the establishment of the guild, right? Before guild and after guild is like the dual calendar, right? So when it's like when the book says 10,191, it's basically like 20,000 years from present, right? It's like, all right, over the course of that time, humans expand into space, human evolution continues. It's like, oh, this group has cracked the code with the help of like a psychedelic drug, of like how to tap into something, how to use their brain in a specific way. And I don't know, it's like their powers very much always seem like it could just be like extensive training, intensive training with just human evolution at the same time. It's not really any sort of like they found a fucking crystal and all of a sudden they're all granted these special
something
powers.
else
It's
I
like,
didn't
no,
think
it's
about till you
intensive
said
training.
that. I didn't ever even think about this. But the thing that makes it sci-fi also is that this is not a fantasy world. This is in our universe.
Right.
This is an imagined
Essentially
future,
just,
which is in the realm of sci-fi.
Earth
That's
has a-
specifically not a fantasy thing, right? So
Yeah.
that's why part of why I didn't think about it that way.
Because
That's
it could
part of why it
potentially
rides that
like
line.
happen.
I think they call Earth Terra in the Dune books.
Right.
At some point
Yes.
in one of the Dune
Yeah,
books,
they
they
do.
refer to Earth.
Yeah.
as, like,
And specific
older.
world leaders,
Yeah.
yes,
and
in
Messiah.
So another thing to the technology, the first time I
You
read
remember
it,
that?
Yes.
yeah, that is, yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's one of my favorite parts because
Well-
it's just Frank just whipping his dick out and be like, "Yeah, you like Paul." So, minor spoilers. We will do a Dune Messiah.
we should do
episode
this, and
next
it's
year.
probably easier to do in the book club than the first.
Yeah,
book
Dune,
itself,
Dune in
because-
June will continue. We will do Dune Messiah next year in June. So this I won't get into huge spoilers, but Frank Herbert absolutely with Dune sets you up to like Paul. Like he's this, and then in Dune 2, he is like, "Joke's on you." So I'm very excited to see how the next.
But he
movie goes.
does also
Yeah.
Frank Herbert though in the first book, man. There he drops plenty of nuggets along the way.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah. But this is not a good
he's
thing.
conflicted.
Well,
And
Paul
he's
is very
seen
conflicted about it,
he's
which I
seen
love.
all these paths, and they're all very morally ambiguous. ambiguous, right? Like there's
Ambiguous,
not
yeah.
like
He's
there's
running
not
that line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's you don't have a fucking. It's not like the rebellion and the empire.
Right.
In Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Right.
It's all very great. Like I said earlier, outside of
It's not
Leto,
dumbed down at all.
no
It's
one
so
in the
good.
book is really really truly a good person, right? Like
Yeah. It's
so it's
a lot more
morally
gray,
ambiguous
yeah.
in that sense where it's like, all right, dude, we know he is the protagonist considering his family's history and like who they're battling, the Harkonnens, and like he's trying to overthrow the empire at that point. When you're getting all of these all these seeds of the visions he's having, and it's like the outcome in this terrible, the outcome of this vision equally terrible, the outcome of this vision maybe not so bad, but Chani dies
Right.
right at the love of his life, you know, like
And that's why he calls it like the narrow path, right? Like it's this
there's one little-
way
yeah.
through right there.
And if he does it, it's the worst one.
It's
of all.
yeah, exactly. Like he has to be the worst person.
and
Yeah.
you
The
find
outcome, and it's this weird like
That's the
ends
truth, too,
justifies
man.
the means.
It's like you
thing.
think about like if you grew up in a really bad neighborhood, there's like in Spanish have like David, correct me if I like saying this incorrectly, but like El Malo, like I'm the bad,
Just bad.
like I'm like you're safe with me because I'm the
Nothing.
worst person here.
Yeah.
And that's real shit.
Yeah.
Like and it's very biblical also. That's Israelite shit. That's like we're not scared of these other tribes because we have God on our side, and that's not like ancient like Torah God, Old Testament God is not your homie.
Mm-hmm.
You should be afraid of him. Kind of like Shai Hulud. Like that ain't you can use his power
he doesn't really give a fuck
to
about
destroy
it.
these other
Like,
kingdoms. You can use him to
Yeah.
destroy these mining operations, but he doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
And like he will fuck you up. You have to have reverence for that thing.
And that idea of like a god of balance, because Shai Hulud like creates and destroys,
Right.
which is
Peace
very
be
much
upon
like
him.
well, yeah, like it's the Shiva thing too, you know, like the different aspects of like the godhead. in a
Allah
way,
the
like,
Bar.
there's a creator, there's a-
Shai
and
Hulud.
the fact that
Shai Hulud Akbar.
well, and what's interesting to me too is again coming back to the psychedelic thing, like the fact that the entire like evolution of the Dune universe of humanity is based on the fact that they discover spice, like is interesting to me, especially considering he was like a
Straight
sober
edge,
dude.
man.
Like
it's very much like
that's-
Zappa, man. He
that's
made all
interesting.
this
Right,
psychedelic
exactly. Yeah,
music, and
he
didn't
doesn't
use
take
drugs.
drugs, but dude, what is up with his
But he
brain?
was an ecologist, right? Frank
yes,
Herbert
yes,
wasn't
he was
yeah,
really
yeah.
into the
And so I
environment
think
and
he
you
exactly
can see how he came at it from that.
He was
angle.
cracked on the other side, like not the degenerate.
Well,
but
the,
like
the character of Dr. Kynes, like Dr. Leah, like
Oh, dude,
all
one
of
of
the
my-
stuff from his perspective is so good.
I
like,
never thought of her as an insert for him. Like him.
Well,
him
it's
kind
a man. In the
it's a
book.
man in
it's
the
a
book.
man in the book.
They just made
Yeah, you're thinking about the movie.
which
They
was
Hollywooded it.
fine. If you're gonna do it, that's fine. It didn't matter. Like whatever.
Yeah,
I
I
forgot
mean,
that, I guess.
But in the book, also,
Wow. Okay.
Kynes is
It's a
the
white guy.
father of somebody. Kynes is someone's father. One of the characters. in the
Oh,
book.
dude, is it
That's gonna bug me. It's not Chani, but
I don't know if he was white. I think he might be part Fremen. He may
Well, he
actually
is-
like
he
is- I think
yeah, he is
Fremen.
Fremen. Yeah,
He
he's
is
like
Fremen. He's the planetary like imperial
Right.
ecologist, but he's also
he's like the ambassador
Yeah.
for
he was
to
born a Fremen.
you know,
Yeah, but like all the stuff from his perspective, even up to the point where that chapter
The
where
chapter
he
him and his
walks out
father.
into the desert and like just gets eaten, like I mean, just that whole thing is so good.
well, that's when he's talking with his father.
Uh-huh,
He
yeah.
sees the hallucinations of his dad. He
Yeah.
basically has like started the mission that Kynes is still pursuing.
and the
with
fact
the
that they
Fremen-
want to terraform the planet, they think that if they bring water to the planet, it's going to be a paradise, but they don't realize that there's another whole side to that thing that come because the water kills the worms, and they don't really know that yet.
right.
And so-
They do eventually turn it into a paradise. It does become that way.
but the spice is wiped out because the worms die, and that's what's
Yep.
so weird about it is like
That's really
they think that they're
that's a wow.
yeah
Well, they
You can see
also
how he thought
they
ahead,
know-
'cause that's
Dude,
there's something
they
to
but
that,
here's the thing
yeah.
though, they do know where the spice comes from. The Fremen do.
sure but I wonder like
And if
they
I'm not
realize
mistaken, if
that
I'm not,
when
I don't,
they when they terraform the planet, that it'll kill the worms. I don't know. I always thought that was like a weirdly like blank slate. in
No,
their
so they say,
foresight.
I'm pretty sure they basically within their plan to terraform Arrakis,
Uh-huh.
they plan to have a certain part of the planet where the worms
Oh,
still
oh,
exist.
okay,
But it's just basically like it's not just going to be, you know, a planet
Yeah,
that's like 80% uninhabitable or whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's
right.
just
And that just
they're playing the long game too.
the way they play that in the film is so good. Like Stilgar is so brilliant. Just the Lisan al Gaib. He's like, he's too humble to say he's the Lisan al Gaib. Just that cult of personality, the way that he portrays sort of like how they win over not just the fanatics but the non-believers, you know. And it's like they're working both sides of it. Jessica's preaching and Paul is fighting, and by deeds he proves himself to the non-believers, you know, like
for sure,
it's-
he truly earns his rank amongst the Fremen.
Yeah.
And I love Chaney
Yeah.
so much,
She's
which is why the movie is
she's definitely
it's the only
the
bad
character
part
of Cheney
about
is the worst part of the movie, easily,
Yeah.
because in the book
Zendaya
she is
is not
Paul's.
Chaney. She's not.
I don't even that
Chaney-
doesn't even bother me because
Well, I mean,
honestly
it's-
that's like
it's not her fault. It's the writing.
that's
But-
a Hollywood like, yo, we need a big name.
I know it's
to
not
play
her
this
fault.
role. I honestly thought she
could
did.
have been Chaney, but she's not.
I thought she did a good job in that role, but I think how that role was written,
I agree
Was
with you. It's
dog
absolutely
shit.
a writing
because
issue.
in the book she is Paul's ride or die, and I think I always thought that was so cool that she is not a. That doesn't mean she's a mindless
Oh
idiot.
shit, Shawnee is Leah's
Just a
cousin.
no,
helplful
but
soul.
she's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah.
what's here's
So
the
it's like,
thing.
you know,
Yeah.
even though they changed him to a chick in the movie, she could still be
Yeah.
her daughter. Too.
Yeah, yeah, that makes
You
sense.
know,
I'm gonna
like,
go on a little tangent about Chaney for a sec. Movie Chaney, because
Book Cheney is
she
much
like
better.
it.
Much better.
The thing is, it feels like they want to do like a Yas Queen, like bad bitch thing for the movies. But the thing is, the Dune books
Are based
are
around
full
the bad bitches.
of bad bitches.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Totally.
Of like strong, independent women,
mhm.
Yeah.
like
Even the
very
princess.
powerful characters.
I hated what they did to Jessica in the movies too.
Yeah.
They just made her like this like sniveling.
They actually, in their attempt,
I
to,
mean, I
like-
thought Jessica was pretty awesome in the movies. I
mean,
think the only part she
aesthetically,
cries in the
like when
movies
she's got the
as
text all over
Lynn,
and shit.
Paul.
Yeah,
is
I know,
dealing
yeah.
with Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the book, she is also emotional in the book.
Yeah, yeah, she's tripping for sure.
It's also like they specifically mention in the book where like no one is looking, so she can give into her emotions,
Mhm.
or like.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Because she
And I-
knows that she's putting on a performance for the Fremen constantly. She's playing the Reverend Mother. She puts that persona out.
Yeah.
Well, even her like her discernment of like if she's around other Bene Gesserit, then she knows she can't be
There.
emotional.
Show any weakness.
But if she isn't, because dude, the reason why I didn't have a problem with her character in the movie is Dune, a large part of the book at the end of the day is a story about the relationship of Paul with his mother
Yeah.
and their
that's
journey
true,
together.
that's true. Especially the first
And-
one, yeah.
Leto is legitimately a very good dad. He's a great leader.
Mhm.
They kill him right off the bat.
Yeah.
Jessica, well, she has bucked the Bene Gesserit demand
She's
of
a
having
survivor.
having a female.
Jessica
She
will
had
survive,
a
and she will
son
keep her son alive. That's what
because the
Jessica's
Duke
about.
wanted a son.
Right. And
And
that
so, and it's
whole
just like,
thing
dude,
is interesting.
there's an intense emotional connection, even if on the page she seems more steely, if you will, than in the movie.
Well, she's Benny Gesserit. Of course, she's a little
She's
reserved and
90
snowy.
generations, and they
But
always
in the
she
book,
was the
she
only
is-
one that broke it. They told her to have a daughter, and she's like, no.
So like, dude, in the movie, or sorry, in the book, whenever Leto dies, Jessica, at first she's stoic, then she gets very emotional. Paul, for most of that time, I think his inner monologue, he says like he doesn't have time to be emotional. He's still like kind of taking all the changes in. So like, I think there are moments with Jessica in the book where it's like, no, she's a fucking savage.
Yeah.
And she can control her emotions to a T, but she also is a mother, and she truly loves her
Jessica is a
son,
mother above
regardless
all
of what exactly.
and she may not be even like kind of like Cersei.
And he
in,
could
Game of
die in the
Thrones.
Dome Jabbar.
Is like she ain't a good person necessarily,
Right.
but she's a great mother.
also her turn in the movie, I think, was phenomenal. When she like just embraces like, yeah, I'm gonna be the Reverend Mother,
After the
and I'm gonna
daughter.
get all these motherfuckers to
Yeah,
buy in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To
I
me,
agree
that's
with
a-
you.
Her whole
Sway
life,
the
I thought was fucking.
non-believers. Yeah, I thought she played it really well.
The,
I like her as an actress.
the biggest issue with that is Cheney, is just like the
Cheney
way they deviated from that.
Sucked.
Yeah.
The character. I don't like not his performance.
It's
I just think the
It's such
character.
a shame because Cheney is such a good character in the book.
That's what I know.
She's amazing. She's
She's
amazing,
great.
and she's. I mean, they show her being a warrior in the movie as well.
Yeah,
But in the
so
book,
for example-
she's Paul's lover. She's one of the most skilled warriors in the Fremen as well, and she's got Paul's back. Fucking, she's killing people.
And the
for it.
betrayal in the book is fucking deep, dude. It cuts hard when you get to that point and you realize that he is gonna make that alliance with the princess specifically for the alliance, but he has to do it. And she comes from a culture that it's like you said, she's his fucking ride or die. So if you think about it from that perspective too, like that's like her hitting a fucking brick wall. Like she doesn't really know anything about galactic politics
Right.
and house alignment. and
Yeah,
fucking
that's
all
way
that
over her
bullshit.
pay grade.
Jessica was dude's concubine.
Yeah.
She wasn't his fucking wife. He never acknowledged that she was his fucking wife.
Right.
So like the fact, I mean, when you think about how hard that must hit her as a person from her culture too, man.
I think,
like,
but also
Whew.
she comes to terms with it in the book where she is like, that's what I love.
well,
about
he's
Cheney.
probably prepared her for it.
Well,
What,
well,
what I love about Cheney is
I will love you as long as I breathe. That's what it tells me.
in the movie she's like, there's this whole
She's too hot and cold in the movie.
there's the
That's the biggest problem with it.
well they have this
Right,
whole
right.
plot line that's not a thing in the book about how you have the loyalists, like the faithful zealot people, and you have this like breakaway where they're like atheists or some shit, which I don't think was a thing.
It is a thing in the book. They just emphasize it much more. In the
Okay,
movie.
so
And I
that
think
is-
they're trying to just. I think they're trying to just give the culture of the Fremen more depth,
Well,
Yeah.
especially since they didn't do the fucking time jump in the movie, and it's not just like, oh, this guy spends an hour with these people and he becomes. It's like everyone just immediately swoons
well,
over
it definitely
him.
wasn't a thing. It's like in the movie, she's resistant
Yeah.
to him.
Oh, totally.
I
That's not in the book at all.
The
Yeah,
kid's
yeah.
out-
yeah.
But in
And
the
that's why. our
but in the
character's
book
so
though,
bad.
but in the book though, he is like, I can't do this,
Yes.
and she's like, you have to.
You
do
have
this."
You have
Yeah.
totally,
Yeah.
totally.
She's like pushing him
into it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
because
yeah.
that's her culture.
And they-
She's like, nah.
They changed.
You're the
She's
kid
a
on
she's a
Rock.
true
You need to
believer in
step up.
Paul in the book.
And what? So there's a
And they
concept.
play her in the movie that she believes in him.
There's an
She
archetype.
doesn't believe in the prophecy.
Well, bro, it's
There's a character archetype called anima, which is the woman bringing out, awakening the man that dwells within the boy.
the
So,
sleeper
yeah.
awakens.
Okay,
So, like,
yeah.
not in Lion King, it's Nala comes
Right.
to Simba, and she's like, I think it's super cool that you smoke weed with your homies all day and don't do anything, but the village needs leader, and you need to like step up and do that. And I think I use Nala as an example because she's a great example of that. But that's what Cheney is for him. Is he's like, I don't want to be the God Emperor and
Yeah.
like wage war on
Right.
the galaxy.
Right.
And she's like,
She's like, you are the god.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not you.
It doesn't matter if you
It's-
want to.
You
Yeah.
have no choice at this point. You are there.
it really don't matter what you want because that's what you're gonna fucking do.
Right.
Well,
And it's, I love that.
And that's
And
the
to-
dichotomy of destiny.
Go ahead.
yeah, I gotta get that up. here.
It's
just to kind of I don't know if I understood your point, the last point you're making, Chance, but
Mhm.
within the Fremen, like there's a lot of these dudes have multiple wives, have multiple partners.
Yeah.
So like
totally.
her effectively having to be a concubine after
Do they?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
remember, if you
Paul has
kill,
multiple
Okay.
wives.
if someone, if
Paul
I
has
knew
that
that.
other-
I
doesn't
knew
he?
that.
Doesn't he marry doesn't Paul marry the one?
John was his wife,
So
he,
even Paul has
he
multiple
inherits.
Well,
her,
he
they end
inherits
up-
her to
yeah.
take care of her. And
But
I'm
they are
sure he
married.
Oh,
loves
wait, no,
her
he
too, so-
specifically doesn't marry her.
Right, exactly.
That's right,
He's like,
because
this is
she
weird.
wants him to, and he
Oh.
doesn't.
He,
I
yeah,
forgot
he's
about
off
that.
put by it.
So
But
yeah,
they're-
okay, so culturally they have multiple
That's
wives.
what
right?
I'm saying. So
My
like, that's
point
why
is,
in the
though, is
movie, like
it's-
it made no sense to me because it's just like, yo, this is part of their culture that you've just done away with and made her mad because cards on top.
Yeah, she should be down.
Okay,
Makes sense, really.
okay,
That's
okay.
really hot.
Cards where?
Oh shit, bro.
Right.
So it's mad disrespectful that she wasn't.
Yeah, no, shit. What? Just chill.
Well, and also like
just chill,
he
babe. It's
says
more
he'll never,
wives.
he says he'll never give her a child either. Like in the book, he's like, yo,
He tells the Empress he'll never knock her up.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he tells Cheney that too. Like, yo, this is not my partner. This is, I just have to do this. And she's like, yeah, of course.
And in the book, she's like, yeah, like yeah.
Well,
I
and-
mean, like she doesn't like it, but she's also
Well,
like,
that's
this is
what I'm
my
saying.
duty.
there's the,
Yeah.
the
This is my
final
duty. This
the
is what
final
I have to
line
do.
in the book, right? The final line. Hold on, let me find this real quick.
We're
What's up?
wives. History will
Um,
never like.
yeah, dude, it's so
Yeah.
good. So Chani says, so you say now, Chani said. She glanced across the room at the tall princess. Jessica whispers, you know so little of my son. See that princess standing there, so haughty and confident. They say she has pretensions of a literary nature. Let us hope she finds solace in such things. She'll have little else. A bitter laugh escaped. Think on it, Chani. That princess will have the name, yet she'll live as less than a concubine, never to know a moment of tenderness from the man to whom she's bound. While
Yeah.
we, Chani, who carry the name of concubine, history will call us wives.
That's why I always thought.
It's kinda like-
she
it's like,
was
yo, dude,
reassuring her.
Yeah, this is,
Because Johnny's like, what the fuck?
you are not the side piece.
I didn't.
You're
think-
the-
I didn't
you
think that
are-
Paul
yes.
told her that he was going to do that before he did it. That was always my impression, that it was like a bomb drop on her. She had no idea that he was going to say to the emperor, the only way you're getting out of this shit is if I marry her and I'm going to be the emperor.
It sucks way
I don't
more
think
for
she
Irulan
knew
than
that.
it does for Chaney.
Oh, it
Yes,
totally
oh my
does.
God, absolutely.
Yeah.
It does. So
Yeah,
much.
she definitely.
So
did
honestly,
that.
so this is what I think. I've told Alex this before. What I think is going to happen for the movies is this. I think because they didn't have that 2-year time jump that exists in the book between the second part and the third part in the book.
Yeah.
What I think is going to happen is this. I think the Paul and Chani arc in Dune Part 3 for the movie, I think Chani is going to basically come back to Paul. She might already be pregnant. Who knows? I'm assuming she will be. But I think she's going to come back to Paul. And in Part 3, they will officially be like the in love, ride or die partnership.
Yeah.
But I think because they didn't do the 2-year time jump in the second movie.
Yeah.
Like Aaliyah's not even born yet.
Right.
There's a lot of fucking development shit you don't get. So I'm assuming that he's going to bring Chani back to Paul in Part 3, and they'll team up. Who knows if? I mean, I don't think they're going to have the initial baby. I think it's just going to be Leto and Ganimo.
Well, okay, that's something.
another.
That's
Yeah,
something
they
I
may
wanted
not
to bring up earlier.
Not
Like,
having the time jump in the
But they
movie
might,
was a
because
huge
Anya
fucking
Taylor-Joy is
thing.
gonna be, she's
Because
going
you
to
don't get
be
Aaliyah.
the older sister,
And
so
you
they're
don't get
going
as
to
much
do a big
context
time
with
jump.
Paul and Chani relationship either. So
Aaliyah and
if
Barrett,
Denis doesn't do that, then that is going to be a huge black eye in his movies. Man.
I also-
he's
yeah.
gotta like actually round that arc out.
you
and
better
bring
have a
Chani
good
back.
reason for not having Aaliyah in Dune 2. You gotta have a real good fucking reason, because one of my favorite scenes in Dune is Aaliyah killing.
The Baron.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you seen
That's-
the David Lynch one?
No, I haven't.
Dude, that scene is
Really?
haunting. When she fucking kills the
She's so
Baron,
creepy.
it's so fucking creepy.
It's worth
With
watching.
her
just
blue ass
just the
eyes
one
is
time.
glowing. Little
If you've
child.
never seen the David Lynch one, you should watch it. It's fucking terrible.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I-
like
so
watching
good, though.
Flash
That's
Gordon.
It's not.
Like
It is
It's
not.
worth
Dude.
watching.
I
No, you
can't-
gotta watch it.
It
I'll
is
watch it with you.
fucking terrible.
That's
It's
all
worth
anyone
watching
tells me
once.
is that it's bad. Okay, hold
No,
on.
no, it's
So
great though. It's amazing.
one of
Honestly though,
Dude,
it's
Patrick
pro-
Stewart has a
God
pun.
damn it.
Sorry. go
It's
ahead.
probably
Go, Connor,
more
go
in line with the book. It's probably ripped more from the book than the actual Denis
Sure.
Villeneuve movie.
Yeah.
Connor,
I
what
think-
But it's horrible.
What were you saying?
there's exactly one fucking plot hole in any of the Dune books, right? Exactly one that just like no one addresses, and they didn't even do in the movie. So I guess that's kind of like the actual first Leto. They're just like, yeah,
Oh yeah, but
Oh,
there's
the baby?
their
Well,
baby
dude,
died anyway.
no, there's
Yeah,
two
yeah.
of them. They do the same thing with Ganimo
Mhm.
after Children of Dune. Exactly.
Oh yeah, no. Okay.
She just
No.
disappeared.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
she
But
does
they
disappear.
hypnotize her.
However, they do talk about her getting old and dying.
Yeah,
Yeah, but she's just like there,
It's a big part of that book too.
yeah.
and then
And then
just like
Gone.
nothing and got
Yep.
everywhere.
just like anyway, yeah, she got old and died because she's not a worm. So
Important.
anyway,
She's
back-
not a
Yes,
worm.
You're, you're talking about
Later the
later the like
Paul's
second-
first
wait,
kid.
that
first?
dies.
Yeah.
fairly
Yeah,
early
the
on
first baby
in some
that
attacks.
What's the plot hole?
Well,
What happened?
the God Emperor is named Leto, and they never talk about again. Like, yeah, well, he's actually like technically the
Leto too?
third
They call
Leto.
him Leto too a bunch.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they call him Leto too.
Yeah.
Even
Okay, I
you
got
know,
you.
No, I see what you're saying, and like,
Well,
it's just like never addressed that.
Well,
Like,
so-
this is also Leto.
No, so I guess I always kind of thought of that as like Paul not wanting to acknowledge
Yeah.
that he
writes
lost
the
his
story.
first
Yeah.
kid. That it was just like,
Terrorist bombing, basically.
yeah,
Yeah,
which it is
yeah.
such. I cannot believe
I
they
get
left that out of the fucking movie. Dude.
I
That's
know,
such a
yeah.
crazy
Dude, I know.
point
Right.
in the book where you're like,
I loved it.
fuck, dude.
And that was one of
His
the first
kid's
books I ever
dead.
read that was
Yeah.
so like contradictory to what I expected. Like I expected it to be like I was young enough when I was reading it that I hadn't been exposed to like a lot of different kinds of storytelling. And it was one of the first things I read where it was like, wait, what? Like what?
It's kind of like a gut punch. You're like, oh fuck, dude.
And
This
it
kid
really
actually
like helped
does
me
die.
mature as like a reader, I think.
Talking
Like,
about the movie,
Messiah specifically.
Yeah.
I think the most recent Dune adaptation is the least accurate, but it's also
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah, I agree. I
Is
agree
that-
with all that.
I watched the Dune miniseries on Sci-Fi
It's good.
from the year
I
2000.
mean, it's
I don't
not
know if I'd
good,
say
but
that,
it's accurate.
but it's accurate.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's the most accurate.
yeah.
It's
Hmm.
the most to the book, but I wouldn't say it's good.
It's a sci-fi channel from the early 2000s series.
Yeah, it's not-
100%
it's
what you
not
think it looks
good.
like. Yeah, I watched it when it was coming out. I was like 18 or 19.
But
at the time.
it's very accurate though, and
Yeah.
even David Lynch's Dune is more accurate than the new movies. But the new movies are the best version.
Yeah, dude.
Well-
and like even just the cinematography is
So
worth the
good.
price of admission.
Yeah,
I,
so good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
they're beautiful movies.
parts of the movies, like I'm not thrilled with,
Mhm.
but like,
Okay, but the writing the worm and in theaters, that was amazing.
dude,
Yeah,
it-
the Dune-
Yeah,
all
that
of
was
it,
sick, dude.
Yeah.
like it just again, just the cinematography is worth the price of admission. I think. I mean, it's just
Hell yeah.
it's the
The
most gorgeous
sequence on
movie I've
Guinea
ever
Prime
seen.
alone is worth the price of it.
The only,
But dude,
yeah.
did you bait? So the David Lynch one is ripped. Like more of the dialogue in that movie is
Yeah.
taken straight from the book. There's a lot of things in that movie that are taken straight from the book.
They show the navigator.
And that movie is fucking terrible. They show the navigators, that's dope. But dude, first of all, the whole sound weapon thing,
Yeah, the
fucking
retarded thing
horrible,
with the
dude.
voice.
That's
Yeah,
awful.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's nowhere in the
Why
book.
does Patrick Stewart have a pug? I don't understand.
That's so
He has no
retarded.
vowel set, but he
Makes
he runs
no
around with a
sense,
pug.
dude.
Uh,
But so it's like it's and the ending of that movie is completely different than how the fucking
oh yeah, I forgot
book
about that.
actually it's
The tail
also-
end of that is so funny.
Mm.
it's like there's like 2 hours of
Poor David
fucking
Lynch.
like exposition
Yeah.
with the attack, and then Paul gets to the Fremen, and in like 15 minutes he's become their leader.
You know-
He's trained the entire fucking like,
David Lynch's Dune is like if David Lynch made Dune.
no. David
Well,
Lynch's,
so
no,
sad he passed on
David,
Return of the
David,
Jedi for that.
no. David
you know
Lynch's Dune is like if David Lynch didn't actually get to make Dune.
They fucked
Oh,
with him.
okay.
That's why
But
he
they tried
wanted
to make
his
it in
name.
style.
He
Removed.
wanted his name taken
Yeah.
off the movie.
I mean, it
Did
even
you know that?
even the, I didn't know that, but it is
Yeah.
still saturated.
They wanted
With
him to
David
direct
Lynch.
Return of the Jedi.
The
It is more
Navigators are
David
sick.
Lynch than it is
the
Dune.
Navigators are fucking dope.
They actually asked him
But
to
anyway.
direct Empire too.
Yeah,
George Lucas asked him to
Yeah.
direct both Empire. and
George
Jedi.
Lucas was like, I don't want to make Star Wars. And they're like, George,
Could you imagine
you didn't
that?
make episode 5. You
Lynch's Star
have to
Wars.
make episode 6.
So
And he's like,
David,
I want David Lynch.
David
like-
Lynch is
They're like, no, George, you have to make it.
David Lynch is like, will there be cigarettes?
Yeah. Will there be coffee in space?
It's
No!
autism and schizophrenia
Yeah.
hanging out together.
it was
Can I shoot
David
it from my
Lynch's
office?
it was David Lynch's
God
call
bless
to
that
do
man.
the sound weapon and not have
That was his call. I didn't know that.
samurais. Yeah, he was like, I don't want to make a samurai film in the fucking in a space desert
After
somewhere.
the-
Basically,
yeah,
he's like,
after
so
the
you got to give me
lightsabers.
something
Oh,
more
wow.
than
He
that.
said, Dune sucks. I hate it.
He kind of did, yeah. He was just like, you're gonna give me a fuck ton of money and
It
not
is-
give me final
it is
say.
It is so bad.
But I think the new movies nail the point of the
Yeah,
book
yeah.
more so than
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of changes
It's got
from
the
the source
theme.
material.
The-
Also, Denis Villeneuve hates dialogue.
I feel
Like
like
clearly, he hates dialogue.
Fair.
for a lot of
Like
Dune,
it's very obvious at
Yeah,
this point.
for a lot of the movies, I feel like are for most of the most recent two movies is what I mean to say.
Yeah,
Out of those two, I feel like the vibe is there.
Yeah, absolutely.
the
it is.
vibe
Oh,
is
man.
definitely
yeah.
there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a painting like on the screen, dude. Like,
It
you
feels
just-
like
The
how it
Harkonnens
feels
have
like
never
to
been
read
better.
Yeah.
The Harkonnens
The
were
music,
never better.
I mean, like the way the
Yeah.
score is, and just like the sound design, like that was what my friend Kristen was saying, like about the sound design. She was like, "This is fucking mind blowing." Just what the soundworms sound like. Just that whole, like you said, the riding scene is just stupid. And
I mean, the religious vibes in general too.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that scene where he's in the siege and he looks at the guy and he's like, "You're wondering if you can take me, but you're afraid." And then he starts but he starts there. He starts at like the front line of their culture, which is that
Yeah.
warrior culture. But then he goes deeper. He talks about his grandmother and his family.
That
He's
is
like,
the
"You
moment-
were just praying to your grandmother." Like
That is the moment where if you're a fan of the books, you're like, can Timothy Chalamet
pull this off.
be Muad'Dib?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude, I'm
And
like,
then it's that scene in Dune 2 where he's in the siege giving that speech, and you're like, oh, yeah, he can.
Mhm.
He can become what's about to happen.
Yeah, he convinced me in that scene. So
that's a
but
great scene.
like you
man.
said about Denis Villeneuve, though, like about him hate the dialogue. So I think Blade Runner 2049 and the Dune films are specifically like his retaliation for Arrival. Like, because Arrival is all dialogue. Like, you have to just really. Have you ever seen Arrival?
Is that the alien movie?
Yeah,
where
and that's
the
what-
hacker-
Where it's yeah.
How much
it's-
you want to bet the Guild Navigators look like that alien?
That's
Totally.
the same director?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sidney Villeneuve.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it's like,
That's
yeah,
cool.
he can do kind of both, but just equally as cerebral and brilliantly like,
Okay,
what the fuck?
so I'm looking, so the chapter here, it's page 563. That's what the chapter starts on. It's the interaction between the Emperor and the Baron when the Emperor finally comes down to Arrakis. Right? To
One more
put the
time. I
Baron,
keep forgetting that it's hot when you hand it to me.
put the Baron in his place. It's basically the end of the movie. You know, the movie, it's like he bases Baron.
Yeah.
You know, tell us about this Muad'Dib. Oh, he's a madman. Your Majesty, he's a madman. Like, okay, give me more. Give me more. They're fanatics, you know. And he's like, hey, what about the southern regions of Arrakis? It seems like they're inhabited. And then the Baron says something back, and then it's basically just on, right? Like they just move, the scene moves on. That conversation has ended, and it's good in the movie. It's the Emperor dressing down the Baron and being like, hey, dumbass, there's actually millions of these people that you fucking just totally. All right, looking at the book, that whole interaction, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5.
So much dialogue they cut out.
4.5 pages, dude. It's just like, and it's so good because it's Emperor being like, you fucking idiot, dude.
He calls him out.
50,000? You think it's about 50,000 people?
You killed 50. Yeah, it's like
What if I told you that there was fucking
Yeah.
millions
Yeah,
of
there's the
these
scene
people
where
on this
he's-
planet?
he's
He's
like,
like,
yeah.
no, that's not right.
No,
it is.
No,
It's absolutely
fucking,
right.
yeah.
There's millions of these fucking people.
You have royally shit the bed, my dude. And you have made the Imperium bukus of money for 80 years, but you have totally fucked this whole operation up. And now I have to come in to clean it all up. And he's got like his entire consortment with him. There's guild representatives there. There's members of House Carino. There's members of other great houses there that just want to see the Emperor put everyone in their place. You know, he's bringing a show to town, and he's just dressing down the Baron like, dude, you think you've killed 50,000 Fremen, and that's a big deal or something like that, but you've lost 30,000 men or something like that trying to do so. And
It's
like,
the inverse. Like he's
he's
lost twice as many men as they managed to kill.
right, and he's just saying, but we're making headway. Like whatever, we can still keep bringing bodies in.
There's
Like,
not that
we're
many of these
good.
people left.
Yeah.
We're getting them.
Yeah, there's like, no, you fucking it. Like,
Well, and
it's
the fact
such a
that-
good like reveal in the book where you're like, oh, their arrogance.
Yeah.
They're
I was
fucking
telling
arrogance.
Alex, like
is-
Alia pulls a joke. I had totally forgotten that basically Alia gets herself captured.
She
Like,
does, yeah, dude.
essentially.
And she
I totally forgot
and she
that.
comes in and she starts like mocking and
Uh-huh.
being like,
Yeah, she's like, "Oh,
you don't
think
know
you
what's about to
kidnapped me?"
happen.
Yeah, like you're fucking. It's so good. Man. I had totally forgotten that. Like for whatever
it's
reason,
the whole interaction in the
that-
book, dude.
that
Like,
they pull that operation. The Emperor's like, "Yeah, well, we captured." He's like, "You know who this little person is?
like talking to the Baron. He's like, "This is fucking Muad'Dib's little sister," and Baron's like, "What? Wait, like,
Yeah, dude. So that whole sequence in the book is 10 pages.
That's what." And
It is 10 fucking pages
watching the
until
movie,
I'm sorry, grandfather.
they cut
You've
so
met the
much out.
Atreides Gom Jabbar.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. When she
10
stabs it.
fucking
That's what she
pages of
says,
fucking
that's
material.
right.
And
Oh,
like,
fuck yeah.
and the shit between the Baron and the Emperor, dude, it's so good. The Emperor's dialogue is just like, it's like,
I totally did
he's just basically, oh, great, more? And the Baron will say something else. He's like, fantastic.
Yep.
And something else? Well, what about this? Absolutely. Okay. And then eventually just like, you fucking moron, dude. I know this. You might be the only person, you and your little chucklehead
then the
fucking
duel,
nephews.
and then the duel. Like after all of that, then he fights Faith. That's what's so wild. Is like he's
Oh, yeah.
gone, and then they have to do it. So
And the chapter before that goes down is the chapter where Paul loses his son.
Mm.
The very end of the chapter where the Emperor dresses down the Baron on Arrakis is Paul coming to terms with his son's loss.
the first.
That's such a huge fucking chunk though. You get a little bit of it in the movie. but
Another
like,
one of my favorite scenes is there's all these people wanting to try Paul,
Mhm.
like challenge him.
Yeah.
And there's one time, like, he's having to fight these men. Like, I don't want to have to do this. Please don't do this.
Mhm.
And then he has to, like, it's not, because he's like, it's not a fair fight. You don't understand. Like, I can
I'll fucking
see,
kill you. Like
I can see what you're gonna do before you do it. Like,
Yeah.
this is not a fair fight. And then he has to kill all these motherfuckers
Mhm.
constantly. And then one time he's sleeping and he wakes up and Chaney's like dragging off a body.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
And he's like, what happened? And she's like, someone came to try you.
You were sleep fighting.
And he's like, why didn't you wake me up? He's like, because I could handle it.
Yeah.
Like, Chaney's such a badass.
Yeah.
One of the things I liked in the film too that I'd forgotten about is when Faye, Austin Butler, like the way he speaks, he turns to Chani and he says, is that your pet? And then he says, any special treatment for the pet? And he says, he puts the in front of a couple of different things. One of the things he says in the book, he says, is the Atreides ready? When Phaedra called using the words of the ancient kennel ritual. Like right at the start of the duel, that's what he says, is the Atreides ready? Like he doesn't even address him by his given name. It's just the family fucking like lineage and like,
And that
animosity
rivalry goes back
so fucking
so long.
far.
Well, and also like the
Yeah.
Harkonnens' whole thing is that they dehumanize everything around them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
just like
Yes.
they're things to be used and thrown
Agreed.
away and
Yeah.
played with until we decide that we
Mhm.
found enough, and then we just
Yeah.
slaughter them because
And
they're
that
fucking
thing
iron.
about human evolution that it's like if you remove even like the concept of what morality is from society, like gay crime, like where it's literally just about whatever physical pleasure is, whether it's killing or fucking or whatever, like that will make you not human. You're not human anymore. Like fucking Gurney says about it. Like the Harkonnens aren't human. Like that's an offshoot of like human evolution.
That's a different thing.
And there's a weird eugenics like underflow to the whole fucking story, whether it's the Bene Gesserit like
Yes.
reading program or whether it's the Talaxu with their fucking axolotl tanks, which are their women that they turned into fucking breeding tubes. It's like
there's a lot
the
of
concept of like genetic
Yeah.
isolation and how different cultures would evolve.
bloodlines.
Yeah,
like
the Fremen are the greatest
Dune
warriors in
is
the
all
galaxy.
about eugenics.
Yes, it is very much so in a weird way. I
And
don't
then
know how to feel
in
about
Messiah,
what's there.
like Paul's like, I look up to Genghis Khan and Hitler. Those are the characters that, and you're like, oh,
Those are the figures that lived for fucking 20,000 years throughout history that still made an impression after all that time.
yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Paul's like,
they're the
that's-
greatly conquerors.
Yeah.
That's what that's
Yeah.
basically what
And
he
that
like.
makes a weird amount of sense.
And he's
as
like-
far as human nature is
He's like,
concerned,
I
it's
tried
sad
to tell
and
y'all,
scary.
I'm gonna be the worst motherfucker in history.
Tyrant.
I tried to tell you, and they're like, y'all begged me to become this monster, this
Mhm.
like satanic figure,
Mhm.
and then he did it. it's like, I can't tell if it's Christ or the Antichrist.
Well, and
Like the
well,
line
the
there,
symbol in my
it's-
brain
it's
is the
think
yin
he's
yang.
two sides of the same coin.
He's
Yes.
he's
He's the liberator. He's also the destroyer.
Again,
like,
Shiva, Kali.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah. Frank Herbert is absolutely making a point.
Mhm.
And I think that's what makes Dune so special is he's telling you something. And
he's
I'm-
trying to make
yeah.
a very serious point with the book. Like he is.
And
He's-
it makes
he's-
me love Messiah
he's
even more because it's not what you want.
Yeah.
Dune Messiah is not what you want
Mhm.
after you read it.
Or goes back to
respect.
trusting the reader.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Goes back
It's
to
like-
your original point.
Frank
Yeah.
Frank Herbert's the Bob Dylan of science.
Because he makes shit you don't
Whatever you liked in this
Yeah.
last book, this
Yes.
last album,
Yeah.
guess what's
Bad
going to not be on the
expectation.
next album?
Yeah.
That.
Yep.
Fuck you.
It's art.
Like it is just like, okay, I guess I will read it
Yeah,
anyway.
and you'll read it, and you'll
Yeah.
fucking like it.
Yeah, I
You'll
will.
fucking like it anyway.
I mean, I love Messiah. It's very polarizing. A lot of people don't like it.
Yeah.
I love Messiah.
it's great. It's my
But
favorite.
it's again, it's sort of that's when I think that's when like Frank Herbert really spells out the fact like, hey, this universe is there's not a good versus evil.
Mhm.
We dabble in the gray,
Mhm.
morally ambiguous, dude.
Mhm.
People aren't always good. They're not always bad.
Like people.
Just
They
like life, man.
self-preservation,
So
right?
that's
For
true, though.
self-interest.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool part of Dune. Like I said earlier, it's very humanistic. And I appreciate how he's managed to like have an aspect of things that are prominent in our culture or society now still exist in this story 20,000 years from now. For instance, like a monopoly. Like imagine if like I always thought the guild was a cool concept. Every planet would just be relegated to themselves. There would be no interplanetary trade in the universe if it wasn't for this one institution that 10,000 years ago figured out how to go from one planet to the other and from one end of the Imperium to the other through spice and this special type of engine, right?
Yeah.
So they hold on to this fucking secret, right? No one else has the fucking recipe. No one else has what is it, like two people know the recipe to Coca-Cola and they can never fly on the same plane together, some shit, right? This one institution holds the key to trade across the universe and no one ever cracks it. So in the book of Dune, you're entering a world where like for 10,000 years, one company has controlled space travel. Like imagine if like
But that's what I like about the way that he built the universe. Okay, and this is what I was going to ask you guys about this. Like you brought up the Brian Herbert thing earlier, and this absolutely pertains to what you're talking about. Okay, so the guild, the way that they're described as having like a stranglehold on space travel at this point in history is directly based on the fact that there used to be a whole galactic civilization that crumbled because of the AI war, right?
right,
And the Spacing Guild came out after that,
right.
connecting all of these disparate points in space. At one point, the whole galaxy was connected in like a cyberpunk way, but then everything fell. The original AI net crumbled, and all of these different galactic civilizations were left isolated, right? So then for thousands of years, they were cut off, and the Spacing Guild were the ones who found
bridged
all
the
of
gap.
these fucking places. So that's why they have like a monopoly on it now at this point.
Just
Right. So it's
Yeah.
like
just like the Jews.
so it
sorry.
basically be like, imagine if every airline company and every like FedEx, UPS.
So it's not even like a corporation.
DHL,
It's like they have the secret. Like no one
No,
else
they're an
even
institution.
knows
They're
what
not a-
they're doing.
they're not a
Exactly,
corporation.
yeah.
They're not the
But
government. They're
they
not
would
the
be
empire.
they would be the equivalent
That's what a guild
to
is.
all of
Sure.
They're
to
an
all of-
independent state.
It's
They-
but
yes,
and
that's brilliant.
it's not the empire.
No.
It's not the politicians.
No.
It's the bank,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
they're
It's
it's
commerce,
it's an
man.
own it's its
They're
own
not the
entity.
one in the light, but they do.
And without
they're
the
shadow.
spice, they
They're the
couldn't
shadow
do what they
government.
do.
Yeah, they're the Illuminati. They're the shadow people. Like they're in the background.
Yeah,
They're
fucking
not.
Hedrick.
They're not the one you
He's the
look
man
at.
who's in power. Like
I mean, they're not
We
really
need
like
them.
they're not
Yeah.
the bank. They're not
No,
the
no,
bank
no,
because
no,
you
but
have
it's-
shown, but they're the transportation
Yeah.
company. So it's like if every major transportation company or corporation on this planet was under one
Banner.
institution,
Right.
one banner,
Right.
that's what the guild is.
Right.
And if you want to do any business at all.
You gotta do business with them too.
And it doesn't matter what the fuck the rates are, man. You could be going to war with another country or another planet, right? You could be going to war with another planet. This guild highliner could be carrying both sets of troops, both families' equipment, to go to war,
because they're neutral.
And both of them know that too. And both families probably know, hey, this other person was also on this. But you would never jeopardize fighting the war on the highliner.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you would have
either side is gonna fuck with you.
You're not gonna fuck
right.
with
You would
them.
immediately lose all trade privileges. You would be relegated, like you're fucking done.
They have all the power.
They do. And like this, I love that it's a monopoly. They have
everyone else is
like
fighting
he describes it
sitting on top.
Yeah,
like at
we're
one
not
point he
affected
calls
by
it a
this.
guild monopoly.
And in the book at the end where he dresses down the guild along with the emperor, the final showdown, and he basically is just like, the spice is the river and the guild is the village that feeds off the river, right? Like you people have never tried to dam the river. You've never actually tried to grasp control of this thing at its source. You've just always fed off of it for whatever reason. Paul throws his dick on his table. He's like, I am the dam in that river.
Yeah.
I am the one that is now going to alter everything that you people have been accustomed to. And the system that you've all grown rich to, I am going to topple now. Right? Like,
and I'm sure this has been pointed out before too, but there is like a weird allegory between the desert planet, the desert of the Middle East, the oil underneath the Middle East, the spice of the desert, like especially in the 60s, like the way that everything was evolving with the Middle East at that time, like there is a lot of that. And the idea that like, okay, we're all fighting over this one little patch of earth, but what would happen if somebody nuked it and it was gone? Or threatened to nuke it and had the ability like Paul does to say, hey, I'll fucking just, I don't give a shit.
Care.
I don't
fuck.
Motherfucker, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I'll blow myself up.
And you know when he says that in the book, you know he's like, he would totally do that.
Yeah.
He would totally blow up every fucking spice from like, all right, we're all
he's
going
got
back
the cheat
to
codes, man. He can see the
planets.
future.
Yeah.
He's like, I know you're gonna fucking take the bait.
Yeah, dude.
I've seen it.
Because you're all a bunch of fucking like you're all feeding
But
off
he's
the
not
teat,
bluffing.
you know what I mean?
That's what's
Like,
brilliant.
yeah.
It's like
He doesn't
not
have to
bluffing.
bluff.
He
knows what's
they'll
gonna
fold.
happen.
Exactly.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows that they'll fold.
Yeah.
It's
And
weird.
like that's what's so cool about Messiah is how do you plot against someone that can see the fucking future?
You can't.
And that's what's so
Right. I mean,
cool
there's a whole plot line in Messiah that is directly involved with that. How the book is.
And
basically.
we will.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, one of my favorite parts in any of the Dune books is when what is the guy who keeps coming back? Damn it, why can't I think of his name?
Duncan.
Yeah.
Duncan.
Occasionally the Duncans will try and kill him.
Yeah.
You know, and he talks about how one or two of them have surprised him, and he's like, I love surprises.
Yeah.
And his love for surprises in God
It's the only thing he has.
is my favorite part of any Dune book, where he's just like, oh no, it doesn't happen. So like when I'm actually surprised,
It's the best.
it's the best thing that's gonna happen to me ever.
Yeah.
And so I'm never surprised. So like, you know, if you can surprise me, that's
Duncan is the best.
Thousands of years,
ever.
and he's like, yeah, some of you have tried to, put plans together and tried to kill me. And man, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Yep.
That's brilliant.
But
I love that about you, dude.
What y'all were talking
That
about.
was always one of my favorite things too, because that was mind blowing to me. That like, again, there were a lot of ideas in this story that like are now, I think personally, I take for granted as science fiction tropes, like cloning and like the ideas of multiple lives lived over and over again. And it's like, oh fuck, you're repeating the same thing, but you don't remember it. All those things. The first time I was ever exposed to that was these stories.
Yeah.
It was Messiah and Children and all the way up to like, fucking Chapter House. Like just the idea of ambiguous endings. Like it's weird because like Dune was the first David Lynch film I saw.
oh bummer.
Dune
Yeah, it's a huge bummer.
Dune book, I was like 10.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know it was David Lynch.
I didn't read Dune
dude,
for
I
a
want
long
to watch
time
Dune.
because of the Dune movie. I was like, this sucks.
But
dude.
like my
Why
point
would I
is
read that book?
like the way that his films don't really resolve themselves, they don't really present themselves to conventional interpretation. Like they're very much like dream logic and all that stuff. All of those things that like
mainstream audiences think they want resolution to stories. They want things to be explained.
He breaks all the
and I
rules.
love not
Yeah.
having things explained to me. And Dune was like that, book wise. Like Tolkien, for all of his fucking like
David Lynch
wordiness
is
and all
actually
that,
kind of
he
a good
explains
pick.
everything out in the end. And Frank Herbert does not explain everything in the end. There's shit at the end of the fucking 6 books that you're just still like, wait, what? Like, wait a minute, what did
I know,
that
why'd he
mean?
have to die?
He is
You
actually
know?
a great. He is very Frank Herbert in that way.
Yeah, man.
That he breaks all the conventional.
He
rules.
helped me like
He had his hands
not
Yeah.
accept things
He couldn't do
being resolved.
what he
You
wanted.
know?
David Lynch doesn't give a fuck. Frank Herbert doesn't give a fuck about how
Even
we're
Richard
supposed to tell a story.
Yes.
But David
I
Lynch
love
should make
Richard
a terrible
Matheson.
fucking Dune movie. I cannot emphasize. As someone
It's not
who-
his fault. It's not
That's
his
my
fault.
favorite director.
Not his
Yeah,
fault.
I think
Easily
you're
the
being a
worst
little
movie he
mean.
made was Dune.
100%.
You're being a little mean to the.
No, he's
to
fucking
the
No,
David
it's
Lynch
terrible.
dude.
It's bad.
It is awful.
You know, you are right. I enjoyed it though.
It's bad. It's bad in the worst way.
I like Kyle MacLachlan as Paul.
Patrick Stewart.
Colin McLaughlin
Gurney?
is Paul, dude.
Yes,
Sting.
yes. And it's
Whoa.
good. It's
Yeah,
good.
but he's got the
Connor,
fucking
don't
buzz.
listen to that dude.
Sting
Yeah,
is Fade
it's
Ralpha.
great.
Sting is Fade Ralpha is pretty good.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch Dude.
It's
Yeah,
fucking
watch Dude.
terrible,
Okay.
dude. And honestly, look,
Okay. I mean, I love
opinion.
it.
Everyone's got an opinion.
And you
If
love
your
Dune.
opinion is you
Oh,
think David
dude.
Lynch's Dune is better than Denis Villeneuve's Dune,
You're an idiot.
you're wrong.
I'm sorry.
You're just fucking wrong. You are.
You're wrong, Alex.
Some opinions are wrong.
Yeah,
That is one.
yeah. There are very few quantifiable statements I'll make.
What they
That's
need
one
to
of
do is they need to turn it into a television series.
Dune.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, it has to be like a
Game
high
of Thrones.
production
them.
miniseries.
Harry Potter and fingers crossed.
Yeah, HBO long series Dune is the only way.
I mean, if you want to nail everything from the book, I think you kind of have to do it that way. I think
Yeah.
because the movies are 6 hours, right,
Mhm.
between the two of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot that gets left out, and it's like, damn,
Yeah.
dude, if
You
you
gotta
somehow
have
were to
everything.
make 2 like 4-hour movies, you would get everything you wanted probably in there. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Just have an intermission.
Or if you want to make 2 5-hour movies, you would definitely would. You know,
But this is why I go back to the extended version
yes,
of
have
Lord
an
of the Rings.
intermission.
I'm like, if you really want to get the best film versions, you got to watch the 5-hour versions of Lord of the Rings, and most people aren't
Yeah.
prepared for that. So
That's
I
what
mean-
made Game of Thrones so good until it wasn't.
yeah.
you-
But
I'm a
again,
big
you
Song
can't
of Ice
keep
and Fire
making up
fan.
the story. When you get to the end of the 5th book, it's like when we got to the end of the 5th book 13 fucking years ago. I've been waiting for the next fucking book in that stupid ass series. By the way,
Don't remind
George.
Yeah,
Asshole. Okay, so like you
He's
get
just
to the-
he's just like, man, sorry, I'm busy swimming in my money pool.
Yeah.
apparently.
Oh, he's swimming something else too. I got
He's
pictures
got a
of
Brian
him.
Herbert waiting in the
Pee-pee?
wings that's gonna fucking finish the outline after he passes away. Bastard.
Not
Anyway.
only is he swimming in money, he's swimming in pussy.
Oh, dude.
Have
you
y'all
know it.
seen?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Not bad, but I know he's swimming in pussy. It's been a thing for a couple of years where it's like once he fucking hit,
Of
it's
course
like
he is, dude. He got that
old
HBO
bastard.
money. His book sold
Man.
a fuck ton. Like my dude is just like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm 480
Just
pounds,
ruined
and
that series. It's so bad. Alex, where's your bathroom? Oh.
If you're watching it at home, do me a favor,
and
Google search George R. R. Martin clubbing.
Clubbing.
Oh my god.
There's a bunch of pictures. of
What
this.
the fuck?
I mean, of course he is, dude.
That's
Why he's not writing the fucking book. What do you?
Again, sorry.
Do you think my guy's just like stopped being creative? I think
There's
he's probably more of just
hundreds of
like.
pictures.
Oh,
That's not one of the good ones actually.
I think he's probably just like, yeah,
He's
don't
like, sorry,
really care.
I'm too busy swimming in my pile of money.
And a TV show has already ruined the end of my story to begin with. So
I think that's what it is with him. Is he's not. He doesn't care anymore. The TV show ended so badly that he just doesn't care about finishing his books now, and that's sad. And I mean, dude, if I was George R. R. Martin and I never had to work again, I probably wouldn't finish my books either.
Yeah,
I'd
that's what I'm
probably
saying.
just be chilling.
Sorry, man. Here's some money to wipe your tears with.
Yeah,
Hope that makes you feel better, because I'm just gonna be over there
yeah.
getting fucking wasted and doing whatever I want.
And speaking of book series that we'll never get the end to, Dune got picked up by his son
Oh god.
which a lot of people don't consider canon for a reason.
Yes.
I'm not that far yet.
I
I
did.
mean, once
I didn't make it that far. I read 70%. I don't even remember which one it was, but I read 70% of whatever the next installment of the Dune story would be. And I kept thinking to myself, like, I wonder when this is going to get good. And I kept thinking that, and I kept thinking that. Eventually, I was like, I can't do
It's
this
not.
anymore. It's not going to get good. This is awful. He's done a bad job. He grew up with that fucking Dune money. And so he never did develop any skills. And so he didn't. And then he foisted that upon me, trying to finish one of the greatest stories of the modern
I read
era.
Fair.
I read a few like Reddit threads and then just other random fucking threads on the internet of people discussing Brian Herbert's books. It was like whenever I think it was on
You're so mad, Connor.
I know.
I was on
so
Heretics.
mad.
I was on Heretics of Dune. And I was like, right, there's one more book left. I actually liked Heretics a lot more than I think most people did. I
Was
thought
that the sixth
Heretics-
one?
The fifth one.
That was the fifth one?
Yeah.
Sixth one was Chapter House.
And sixth one was Chapter House. And so when I'm there, I'm like, okay, the story's not going to end with book 6. Oh, his son wrote book 7 and 8 to finish the story, which, to be honest with you, at the end of book 6, very much seems like that should be a 1-book task at that point. But Brian broke it into 2 parts. Don't give a shit. Don't want to hear it, dude.
I wasn't gonna say
don't give
anything.
me
I
any
just took a
fucking Brian.
breath. I
Stop it,
literally
dude.
wasn't gonna say a word.
All right, so I was like, I'm gonna read some fucking Spark Notes, and I'm gonna read some fucking like, yeah, I don't want to fucking hear anything
No,
about
it's, I
Brian
love
Herbert
you.
right
It's
now,
so
dude.
funny.
And basically, I finished Chapter House, and after everything I've read on these threads and like the actual like Spark Notes of fucking Sandworms and Hunters, whatever the fuck it's called, it's like, oh, this sucks. This is just not good. And there's a reason why like every Dune nerd online in any
Hates it.
Reddit thread is just like, not canon.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Yeah.
The best thing you can find is just like, well, it's not as bad as everyone said it was going to be. And it's like, that's the top. That's the top.
It's like
of
we
the
were talking
mountain
about
you're getting.
police earlier.
Jared, stop.
Not
reading, dude.
infringing upon your
It's
rights.
terrible.
Jared kept trying to defend it to me in the book 7. Every time we talked, I'm like, no, dude. I have read. He's like, yeah, but you've not read the books. I don't need to. I've read enough
You're like,
about
I
them
don't fucking
online
care.
and excerpts from them that I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit. I don't buy that.
Okay, let me ask you this.
And then eventually
One-
Jared's like, yo, dude, so I stopped reading.
The
This
one
goes
plot
through
point
Jared.
I thought was cool as fuck, and this is, I'm gonna ask you guys this, 'cause it's very specific. At the very end of the
End of
whole
my
thing,
rant. Thank you.
the machine planet, right, is like absorbing technology.
Ix.
Omnius is home
it
base
supposed-
where
is it
the
supposed to be
central
Ix?
server is. No, it's not Ix. It's where Omnius is like final like
It was
intelligence
like on the
form.
farthest reaches of the.
Yeah,
fucking,
yeah.
like,
And basically what they do is the only way that they can figure out to destroy it is to drop a sandworm on it, because Dune has been destroyed. Dune has been covered in water for thousands of years, right? So there's no worms. The only worms that exist are on the no ship. At the end of Chapter House, now this is canon. At the end of Chapter House, the only worms that exist are on that ship with
right. Yes. That, okay. That's
so
yeah.
what they do is they
They're gonna
take
go
the
bomb
worms
the
on
worms.
the ship and they drop them on the machine planet, which has no vegetation and no moisture, because the only things that exist on the planet are the machines. And the fucking worms are the ones that like burrow into the planet. The machines have no idea that they're there because they've never encountered this life form before, because it hasn't existed in thousands of years. It's neat. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying the sandworms on the machine planet at the end is a really cool part, because like you kind of forget about it. It happens
problem
in
is
the book before.
all
when
the
you said the
things
two
to
book
get
thing.
to that point, though.
Sure,
You're spread out across 2 books where
Yeah.
you're just like,
And that's
This
the
is
thing is
very
they plant the
necessary.
worms in the other book, and then you're like reading, you're like, okay, wait, what? Oh, the worms are in there.
The
fuck.
plot-
And then
the
they
the
get
plot
huge
of
and they fill
trying to get the
machines.
worms off Arrakis has been there since where you find out in Messiah, since the first book.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
always been a thing.
Right. to
And that's
try
a
to
great
reproduce the
that's a
spice.
great plot point.
Right,
That's
because why does
awesome.
it exist on this
It's
one
the
planet?
obvious thing is you would try and
For
get a worm
sure,
off
yeah.
the
Right.
And you find out before that, like the Twi'leks who have done it. Like
Yeah.
you find out, like okay, at this point, people have actually gotten a worm up. But the way he goes from Chapter House
Yeah.
into finishing that story, even if
Yeah.
the
It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm not
It's
defending
unnecessary.
it. I'm just saying, like, there were parts of it where I was like, oh, that's fucking cool.
The thing is,
Like,
we should focus on Frank Herbert's
negotiate
the
with
book
an
that's
AI
actually
intelligence?
good.
yeah,
Negotiating with AI intelligence is the other like concept that he kind of like made me think about a lot. It's like, how would you negotiate with something that wasn't human and didn't have like human values of like life and like existence or whatever? You know what I mean? But again, not the thing like,
Yeah.
at all.
the thing is, we will it doesn't matter how bad it is. I have to know.
Yeah.
I have to know. So at some point we will, we're
It's
gonna
not, this-
do
it's not the
Dune
same.
in June. Through the
All these
whole
years.
thing.
Yeah.
Dune in June.
I mean, we would love to have you the whole time, but
I mean, I'm not doing the 7th and 8th.
I understand. I understand.
Admittedly, I'm not.
I
this
just
is
want you
bullshit.
to know. We'd love to
What you're
have you.
talking about, let me tell you something. Okay. All the
Hey,
fucking,
you should join anyway.
all
and
the
just talk
fucking,
shit the
all
whole
the
time.
fucking, I will do that. I'll gladly
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It'll be
Well,
Chaos
You'll be the
Council.
only one who has it
It'll
right.
be me shitting all over these
Yes.
fucking horrible books.
Yeah.
It's basically like what Kathleen Kennedy did to Star Wars.
Oh, dude, no.
That's
it's not
what
yours.
Brian Herbert did to fucking Dune.
It's not as bad.
It's-
Kathleen Kennedy.
It's less gay and lame though. Actually,
put
it's
a
just as
chicken-
lame.
They put a
less
chicken in
gay.
it and
Probably
made it
less
lame and
gay, just as lame
They're the
though.
less, yeah.
Less gay,
Oh, God.
just as lame.
Put a chicken, dude. She killed Star Wars.
She
I'll say
did.
it on the
Brian
internet.
Herbert killed Dune.
Fair.
I'm just telling you.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
I have to see the train wreck. I'm one of those
Man.
people that's like, yeah, show me the Chinese factory accident.
Dude,
Show me.
Disney killed Doctor Who, Kathleen Kennedy killed Star Wars, and Brian Herbert killed Dune.
I mean, he
I
did.
mean, you
He
finished
did.
Game of
He
Thrones.
definitely killed it.
Say
Do
what?
what?
I said you finished Game of Thrones, so
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I finished the show.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
never finished
Yeah.
the show. I refuse to watch the 8th season.
That's-
so bad.
Yeah,
David-
Connor, honestly, I respect the hell out of Connor.
David's
for doing
onto
that.
something.
It's so bad that
That's
it's like
my
you
first-
shouldn't.
I'm like,
You
it's one of my
just
favorite
shouldn't, dude.
shows.
It's
I can't.
horrible.
I was
can't
watching
watch
it at the
die.
time week to week, and it was like it was so
I
disappointing
couldn't
week
do
to
it.
week in that last season, right before the pandemic. This was like right as the pandemic was coming on, and like
This is
people had
like,
hope, and just from week to week, it was like worse and worse and worse.
it's kind of like what the New Testament did to the Old Testament.
Gave it
that's
a
a hot
chance.
take. That's a hot take.
Like his son
Made it
came around
worse.
and made a weird.
You mean like the only like
Oh,
good
yeah,
thing
love
about the Bible? The only part of the Bible that's not just
I thought
like
Jesus made it better.
kill yourself for God.
Yeah, I thought Jesus.
Jesus
That
made
was
it
the
better.
cool part.
What, killing yourself?
What's all
for
this
God?
love and peace shit? I want
Yeah,
the
God
war
of the Old
tribe.
Testament is definitely
the
a little bit of a
desert.
psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm not convinced that that wasn't the demiurge fucking around with us that whole time.
Anyway, so Dune, you guys
Yeah.
ever read that book?
No, we're talking about the Bible.
You guys, but yeah, you guys ever,
Frank
you
Herbert-
guys
Frank
ever
Herbert
heard?
talked about the Bible a bunch.
Back to Dune. I mean,
The
I-
Goose Outside
Okay,
the
I'll
Rock?
tell you one scene that I was enraged that they left out of the movie.
Mhm.
It's the first chapter in book 3, The Prophet, third
Yeah.
part of the OG book. It's the scene in which the Baron has just escaped an assassination attempt that Fade has planted.
yeah,
And it's the scene where
I
the
remember
Baron brings the 14-year-old, the young boy, I think he's, it's like the teenage boy into his room, and Fade knows where the Baron, like what part of the thigh the Baron always touches.
Yeah.
Probably because Fade has been groomed.
That's
and
the
it's
implication
been-
there.
yeah.
100% agree. Yeah.
there's only one way.
And
Fade
so the
knows
Baron
that.
finds the fucking poison needle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
rips this kid to shreds, and the chapter opens with the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen rage down the corridor from his private apartments.
Yeah.
And it's him making his way to Fade to be like, I'm paraphrasing. It's such a good chapter, dude. And it's so fucked up. And it's so fucking brutal. But it's basically the Baron being like, hey, dude, here's the deal. I don't really trust you. You don't really trust me. You've tried to kill me now. You don't understand what the fuck I'm trying to do for you. So let me explain this right now. You're going to inherit the family empire. I don't trust you. You don't trust me. All you have to do is not try and kill me, and I'm not going to try and kill you. And then you get the family empire. Not only that, you'll probably end up sitting on the emperor's throne.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because this is why. Even though I've told you this multiple times, let me explain it to you again. The
You know
emperor
you've
is
been
indicted in the fucking assassination attempt against Atreides. Don't fucking try and kill me. And you're gonna get the gold, dude. Do we have a truce? I won't try and kill you. You won't try and kill me. Okay, uncle. Sounds pretty good. And he's
yeah,
like,
stop
"Dude,
fucking with my 14-year-olds.
Yeah. He's like, so to prove your loyalty to me and to basically fucking, get a blood pact going here, I know you've just impregnated one of the chambermaids, and I know you frequently sleep with them. You're going to go down and you're going to kill every single one of them with your bare hands while I watch.
Yep. It's one of
That's
the-
what's going to seal the fucking
it's
pact.
such a powerful
And it's just
scene.
like, dude, all right, you've heard all, and you already know how brutal the Harkonnens are. They're all
Yeah.
sadistic. And then it's that scene, it's just like,
that. I mean, that
You
scene
don't
Oh,
think
hits-
about things like
hits
that,
so
like as
hard.
far as trauma goes, but like, again, like going back to 90 generations of breeding. Like if they have been doing that on that planet for 90 fucking generations, fucking in front of their relatives, all those things, they're psychologically damaged beyond all
They're not
genetic
human
repair.
anymore.
Exactly. Genetic
affects them
memory
physically.
alone dictates that they would be completely fucking totally
well, the
unrecognizable
Harkonnens,
from
yeah,
us
that's
as
why
far
the
as our morality goes. And like the other thing in that scene too that I'd forgotten about is like the whole thing about Hawaii being forced to
Exactly.
serve the Harkonnens
Which
the
he-
entire time. They
and
left
he's
that out of
and
the film
he's-
too, which
they
bummed me
totally
out.
left that out, which
Yeah.
is a travesty
Back to
because
that scene you were talking about.
he's also,
Yeah.
but Hawat through that whole time, what you're saying, man, he's like basically doing just enough for the Harkonnens so that they won't kill him.
Right.
But he's also trying to like obstruct
Mhm. And as
their
a mentat,
goals because he
still
loves
has,
the
like a
he has
double
Atreides.
mental
agent.
disciplines
Yeah.
that give him advantages in some situations.
Oh, yeah,
So
he-
he's still sort of like, because in the end, doesn't he die because he remains loyal to Paul?
His motivation
He goes
is
up
Don't they
to-
try
he
to
does,
like,
dude.
yeah.
his
don't-
motivation is to his wife, but also to the House Atreides.
No, not
Hawat, not
not the soup
Not
doctor,
Yui.
not Yui. I'm talking about Thufir, the mentat,
Yeah.
the one that.
at the end of the book, he is supposed to go up. So there's
Is
a
he in the
plan.
movies?
Yeah,
No,
he's
they
the
left
old
him out
guy.
of part
He's-
2.
No, they left him out of part 2, but he's the old guy in part 1 where his eyes roll back and they're white. Remember? And he goes, "How much did it cost?"
It was the
him?"
black. It was the black guy.
He's
The
the
one
Atreides
Atreides
mentat.
mentat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the book, he's forced to serve the Harkonnens after
Really?
the massacre. Yes.
Okay, I don't remember that.
Yeah, and
It's
there's
a whole
there's
thing,
actually
yeah.
a chapter from like his perspective that I'm sitting here right here.
Okay,
The old mentat
all right.
book down at the table between him and Vladimir Harkonnen, like, and
It's
in
really
the
good,
end,
dude.
like I think he gets poisoned or something because he refuses. Like, the idea is that he's supposed to
They
remain
control
loyal.
him with
Yeah,
the poison,
right.
which is in the David Lynch movie.
Oh, so he's
They do
loyal.
control
He's-
him with-
He's just under mind control.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, and he
Well,
remains loyal to
no, no,
the
no.
end and,
No, no.
and dies. He's
He's-
not under mind control, like, but
Sorry, not under my control. He's loyal. I thought you meant that. I thought you were going to say that he was undermining the Harkonnens. So he's still loyal to the Atreides.
Mhm.
He's playing the loyalty games for the Harkonnens,
the
but
whole time.
he's also low key kind of sabotaging
Mhm.
Okay.
Like while Moadib's on
all of the
Dune,
Harkonnen plans, not in an overt way, but he's
He's doing
kind
the
of in
things
these
he
little
has to
things
do.
that
Anything he can.
affect ultimately the.
And they're fucking up
plan.
everything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
because he's
I
part of
got
the
you.
imperial system, which like the Mentats and the Soup Doctor School like are part of that sort of imperial system of control.
And also, dude, okay. At the end, okay, there's a greeting. Paul gets a final greeting with Thufir, right?
Okay.
In front
Yeah,
of
yeah,
in
yeah,
front of the emperor.
yeah.
So doesn't Thufir come up to him and be like, "My lord, they wanted me to poison you and
Yes.
kill you, but I
Yes.
couldn't
I
bring
remember
myself."
that.
to-" He's so old at this point
Yeah, and
that
he's really old. Yeah.
he's
Like Connor said, like they can live for hundreds of years depending on their mental school like conditioning. Like
Yeah.
the Mentats live
Yeah.
for like hundreds of years, and so
Right.
did Benny Gesserit.
So he's at the end of his rope, and basically, like his final task was going to be to kill Paul,
Right.
from the Harkonnens' perspective,
Right.
right? Like they still had hope that through fear they could get to Paul by having appeal to his nostalgia, if you will, right? The fear doesn't do it, and he confesses to Paul, and then he just dies right there at the end. So he never allows the Harkonnen plan to advance,
Okay.
even though he's alive through that entire
I got you.
final part of the book.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is sad that they left that out.
Connor,
It
the thing about his
sucks.
son too, it
It's a
sucks
huge-
they left the thing about his son out in the first film. They should have put that in there because they show the scene where Teach Tabor gets destroyed.
Yeah.
Remember? And like
And it's,
they're
yeah,
out.
it's so good, dude.
yeah.
They just
And if
cut.
they had
There's so
put
much
his
other
son
weight.
there, exactly right here. He says, "My son is dead." Paul said, and knew he spoke that it was true. My son is dead, and Ali is captive, hostage. He felt empty, this shell without emotions. And Paul thought how little the universe knows about the nature of cruelty. Like,
It's
Oh,
so
damn, that's bars.
so good, dude.
Yeah.
It's
God
because
damn.
it's just
and
like
that's right at the end of the book.
That's
like,
officially-
that's
he
like
just-
one of the last chapters. Like, it's weird that they did leave that out, actually.
And because
Now
that's the
that I
point where he's just like, no, dude, like going into this final meeting with the Baron, with the Emperor, whatever, against all these forces that are against Paul, the end of that chapter is where it's like, so he is not going to take any prisoners.
Yeah.
The bluff, there's no longer a
Right.
bluff.
Nothing
He has
left
seen
to
all of
lose.
these paths,
Mhm.
and if I say I'm going to blow up the fucking spice fields, that's what the fuck I'm going to do.
It's not a bluff.
Mhm.
Right. Because
He-
but I also
he
know
will
you're going to
fucking
bow to me
exactly.
because I hold the fucking
It's
power,
100% not.
dude. Yeah. Like
No, he
it's-
meant it.
Yeah, it's like, and if not, you okay? You
It's
need
a-
to bend
it's a
and you need to
good
be, or I'll
gamble,
kill
though, 'cause
every
he
one of
knows-
you, dude.
He knows how this is gonna play out.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
So it is a safe bet, but it is not a bluff.
No, because
No,
either way,
it's like he's
plays
like,
out,
I'm
he
gonna
doesn't
milk
care.
this for all it's worth,
Even
dude.
if
You
it just goes all to oblivion.
And this is the one way
$0.
that this turns out well.
Mhm.
This is
Right.
the
The
single,
only way this is
singular
gonna go
way.
even remotely well is if you do what I say.
right.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
that's
I'll just brutally.
don't give a fuck. Like,
And honestly, he's probably seen
it's
seen
not
that
admirable,
ending as
but it
well.
is admirable. I don't know. I do like, as I get older, I kind of like,
well,
I
it's
don't
in-
want
it's
to
in-
not give a fuck, but like, yeah, exactly.
dude, it's like, yeah, man, fuck all these.
It doesn't,
Exactly.
fuck, dude.
Yeah.
and that's kind of the point, right? It doesn't matter if it's good or bad.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter.
No.
That's not the point.
Right.
I love the God Emperor. I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, the God Emperor Leto?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, the philosophy of like, it's not even
I
about,
like Paul. I like
it's
all
not
the
even
time.
about
Sure.
like in just
I'm rooting for them
scenes with
too. It
Leto.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't.
He describes like a 3,000-year consciousness so well. If you were living in a body that was essentially immortal and you could see the future, that would be your emotional state. Like,
Yeah.
it's so well described. And
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. Like, I agree with you. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, I root for Paul. Like I don't. Yeah, he's
I root for
gonna
Paul.
he's gonna
I-
slaughter 1 billion people, but like he's a cool guy,
Yeah.
But I like the fact that Paul the father.
Not sorry, 9 billion people, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say
Yeah.
it was more than a billion.
Nine
the
billion.
He's-
fact
he's
is
setting
that
records
Paul
by
like
a
sort
long
of
shot.
halfway rejects, like Paul initiates the jihad, but then rejects it, and then his son like completes it. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah, he
it's,
pussies out, and his son pre-birth.
You guys
It's like,
spoiling-
not
you
father.
guys spoiling the
I'm
next
sorry.
episode
No,
for
no,
me, dude?
no, my bad.
Please,
Yeah,
That didn't happen.
yeah, am I wrong? I'm bad about that. It's my fault.
I knew you would, dude.
I know you would. You
gonna-
guys
I
were
knew
watching me
you were
earlier.
gonna
You're
be
like,
a
shut the
fucking
fuck
guy
up,
that's
dude.
like, bro, we're supposed to
I
read the
did it
next
too.
3 books.
I
It's
did
my
it
fault.
too.
Why are you talking about the golden
No,
path
it's
right
my
now,
fault.
dude?
It's
The
my
goddamn
To be
word.
fair, this
He watched me
conversation's
earlier. He
impossible.
looked at me
I know,
earlier.
but
Not
dude,
doing
stop
it.
it, dude. I don't want to
It
hear
is.
this shit.
You
You're about
have
to
to do that.
launch 4,000 years. in the
It's gonna
future.
happen, no matter what we do. It's gonna happen.
It is.
This is the golden
God,
path.
I love you.
I have
guys.
seen the
Y'all are
golden
some of the
path.
best friends I've ever
We
had.
have-
No. The golden path is you guys are like the best friends I've ever had.
Hey, likewise, man.
I love
Hey,
you all.
So
I
maybe
think-
opposite of
like,
the golden
for
path.
real,
because
I'm
that
not
was
even
more of
kidding.
like,
You
you know,
understand that? David, you
4,000.
too. Like, I know poor David's been sitting there listening to us babble the whole time, but dude, like, for real, man, I love you, man.
David's a real one.
Yeah, dude. Like,
we are
Love
the
you
dude
too.
right now.
yeah, buddy.
I mean,
We are. It's
You don't find friends like this, man. Like,
Well-
people that discover
Friends like
your
these,
same
right, dude?
interests, like, like people that, yeah, friends like these, dude.
it's
Yeah,
so cool
yeah.
finding other
What a good
retards.
sarsaparilla. Yeah.
Your tard match my tard.
Friends
Oh, it's crazy. You guys are retarded too.
Oh, dude. No, I
to
mean, I
retard,
feel like
to impede or inhibit.
it's
Right,
hard for
that's
me.
the definition.
It's hard for me to chance to not read Dune.
Yeah.
And see my life.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's like a religious text. It's telling you about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Paul. It's like we all feel like Paul.
Yeah.
Because it's a metaphor.
And it's a
Well,
modern metaphor, man. Like,
It's all of that to say, this is the golden path. I'm living my best life.
Yeah.
And my best life is hanging out with y'all, talking about Dune.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
I would have never thought that I would have.
I'm not a big I'm not a big like
There you
book
go.
club guy because I'm
Yeah.
I'm not one of them readers, if you will.
Looks
Uh,
like we got us a reader.
but when you told me you were doing Dune, I was like, all right, I've read all
I'm
the
so
Dune.
glad you joined.
I've read all the dudes, dude.
Well, you and I have hung out for years, and like I never talked to you about that. I talked to Will about it 100 times, but like I'm over there the other day at your place. I'm just like, yeah, man. So we're doing Dune book club. And you're like, yeah, I'll be there.
Oh yeah, I'll be
And
there.
I was genuinely surprised. I was like, holy shit, you're gonna be.
I was like,
I'm
yeah,
so glad
I've
you
read
did.
I've read all of the
Yeah,
dudes.
man.
I've read
That's
the
great.
first Dune
And
twice.
your perspective is great too, because like again, like you said, it's not even that like you're not at this or I'm not at that. Like everyone approaches it from a different perspective, right? So like the way that you read it and the
All
things
the
that you
different
get out of
perspectives
it,
that super useful.
yeah, it's really interesting to me, man. Like
We did this book, Just Cord recommended it, called Tenders the Flesh. Were you there for that one?
yes,
Yeah.
I was actually.
And that book was originally in Spanish.
Mm,
And David read both versions
that's right.
because he can read Spanish.
yeah.
So he read the Spanish and the English version. I was like, that is such a useful
Yeah, man.
context to this. Because like he's like pointing out differences in translations and
Mhm.
shit. It's like you're saying, if we all had the same opinion about Dune, there would be no conversation to be had.
Yeah.
Like what's interesting is coming together and talking about it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh yeah, no, I didn't think about that. That's interesting.
Every time. And language is different too. That's the weird thing. Is like going back to the thing we talk about magic, like the rabbit hole where this all originates is the magic of language, like the magic of a word, like one word that could mean 5 different fucking things. And depending on the context that you use it in, could be magical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know, like conversations where we're at now, and the internet consciousness is where like
Yeah.
actual
Any-
knowledge comes from now.
Have any of you read the Immortality Two?
No.
No.
No, really, nobody.
Is that a future book club?
Yes, dude, it has to.
Immortality.
I've heard of it.
All right.
I'm
Okay,
not ready.
Probably for me.
I got you.
Basically, I feel like this guy was on Joe Rogan too. He has his master's or doctorate in like ancient Greek language,
Okay.
and ended up being a lawyer because he can't make any money trying to be an ancient Greek language doctor.
Fair.
And
That adds up.
yeah, but so he spent like so much of the a lot of the Bible is effectively mistranslated.
Yeah.
You don't say.
Oh, I do know what you're talking
Well,
about.
no, but I mean, like
No,
in
for
very,
sure.
in very,
I know
in
what
very
you're talking
like
about.
not palatable, but I'm a little stoned. In very like tangible ways, and like a lot
Right.
of the meanings have been sometimes on purpose,
Fair.
Yeah.
kind of co-opted for the plebs, if you will.
Yes.
It's interesting. He's connecting.
I've got to
My,
read that.
my man connects some dots that maybe like. It's not exactly that he's ham-handed. He definitely has. There's a specific rabbit hole that he's going down, and it's like when you have a hammer, every problem looks in nail, right? That's once
Nice.
once you understand
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
that, like, okay, this guy has something that he's trying to say, fine. But a lot of the points he makes are terribly interesting. He's talking about effectively psychedelics being an integral part of religion,
Yes.
and maybe
I haven't read this, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah, we've talked about it
Yeah.
before too. Read it. It's fascinating.
We'll
I
do it
don't
for book club in the future.
I don't think I still don't think I've read most of the book twice. I still don't think I finished it because towards the end, or maybe towards the last 30%, it starts to get a little redundant, and like, I don't know, that's a pet peeve of mine when I'm just like, okay, I fucking get it already. We've already kind of talked about this. Now you're talking about it again, but in this way that I don't find terribly whatever. I should finish it out because I've read most of it twice. But it's a fascinating read.
Yeah. That's
But to Frank Herbert's point with religion,
it's hard for
the
me
spice, etc.
actually David and I were just talking the other day about you have there's linear thinking and vertical thinking, and autism is linear thinking where you hyper focus on one thing. Schizophrenia is where everything is the same thing. So it's hard for me. I'm on this side of the spectrum, where it's hard for me not to correlate and see connections, to make connections. And the connections may not make sense, but I'm still establishing connections between Dune and the Bible and real life. And like all of these things connect to me. And I can see like a pattern.
It's, probably part of that's based on, your personal experience, right? And sort of like what you.
It is upbringing. Yeah.
Well, upbringing, just life in general, like your own experiences. I think from those you might latch on to certain ideas or certain books.
Yeah.
Because like you might find ways like, hey, dude, I read it once and was like, that's fucking awesome. Like that spoke to me. What you're saying, like you're finding these other parallels throughout your life. I think that's, I don't know. I think that's kind of what makes art great. Whatever that art may
A
be,
good
whether
piece
it's
you connect to your life.
yes,
Yeah.
and you draw parallels between
That resonates with
what
me.
you've done,
yeah.
what you've seen happen, maybe other forms of entertainment
I think
that you also like, and you're like, oh, there's a commonality between these two things.
Yeah.
I mean, you stitch it together.
you can do this with narratives, like a story, like I relate to this character. And then I think music does it in a much more pure way where it's like, I
Music's the best.
understand
Music
what
is
you
the
mean, even though there's no lyrics. It's like, I get it. I get what you're saying right now. Like being able to speak through music is very it's a more direct and pure way of doing it.
Well, because you get the poetry,
English gets
You
in the
get-
way.
you get the-
like words get in the way of shit.
certainly.
but
Yeah.
but with music, you get the words, you get the message.
Yeah, it's like
You
I
get
see,
the poetry,
I see
but
what you're
then
saying.
but then you also
Yeah.
get the organization of time and sound with that.
Mhm.
And so it does, I think, the reason why I think music is the best is like it's a bit shamanistic,
Yeah.
right?
Indeed.
Where like you can
No, especially
go ahead, David. Yeah.
especially when it's live, because then you add like a
Yes.
whole component to it.
Yes.
man. Yeah.
When it's live, it's real time seeing that shamanistic aspect where it's like, oh, like if you're playing a show and you're fucking crushing.
Yeah.
And you see an entire room or an entire field of people, right? With playing indoors, outdoors. Just like at the whim of wherever you like move your fucking hand, right?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And they are feeding off of your energy, off your sounds, the message you're trying to relate. And in that moment when you're fucking cooking and the audience is engaged, it's like, dude, any way that we want to move our hands, these people will also move with us,
Well,
right?
they're willing participants too.
Right,
Absolutely,
right,
yeah,
like,
totally,
We're not
totally.
there against our will.
No.
I
Yeah.
talked to Alex about this probably on both of the pods I've done with him solo. It's just like, we get to lead like one of the last socially acceptable shamanistic experiences if we're
Totally.
lucky, and like, you play fucking hundreds of shows, right? And a lot of times people are like, thank you for playing. I'm like, thank you for being like,
Thanks for
Right,
caring.
right.
I was gonna
Yeah.
play anyway, dude. It doesn't mean as much if you're not on the other end receiving it. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm still gonna do it because I like doing it. And anytime you get to play music is a privilege. However, when there's people there and you get to lead this experience where your heart's beat in unison, like all kinds of weird physiological things happen. They did this really interesting study where like there's no way to release the amount the amount of dopamine and endorphins when you're playing music with other people in front of other people. There's no other part of life that happens in the same way.
And
Not
even
sex,
with-
not
Right,
drugs, none of
right.
it.
Even
Yeah.
without the science, even without understanding that on an academic level,
Right. The reason
we
You feel that.
understand
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
That's
Like
why we
I
can
know
go to
that
shows
when
since
you
we
say
were
that,
fucking
I
kids.
already know that.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
This
Yeah.
is an internalized truth. I understand. This thing exists. This power.
It's a
Individually,
beautiful
and then the
thing.
fact that each one of us, like us five of us collectively, like individually understands that, and that again, that we're all friends, and that we understand that as
Yeah.
a group of people, and that we know a bunch of people that do that and like are involved in creating.
I share
that.
the gratitude that you feel
Yeah,
where
dude.
I'm so blessed to have this amazing group of friends and to have this life that I have. It's easy in America for us to take things for granted, but it is so special. it's so special what we have. We're getting a little off topic from Dune.
Honestly,
It's
I'll-
my fault.
honestly,
This is my, I take full
I'll take-
responsibility.
okay,
for
but- what did, okay, let me try and
Bring that.
weave this stitch back in here.
Yeah, let's
What-
let's park this.
So, so to what we're just talking about, and also to do first time reading Dune with the Bene Gesserit. One of the things that I latched onto that I thought was a cool idea. It's this group of people who like with frequencies, like supreme observational powers, right? Plus the idea of like being able to tap into certain sound frequencies. They can take control of someone else. And yeah, they can take control of them to like slit your throat. They can also take control and be like, you're gonna have sex with me.
Yeah.
Because we have a breeding program. It doesn't matter. But it's this idea that's like human evolution, this idea of like, I think there's
Our
a
cells
lot-
vibrating at specific notes.
exactly, dude.
Mhm.
There's so many things when it comes to audio frequencies and
we
how
wish,
that affects consciousness.
Yes.
we wish we weren't that programmable, but
But
so
you are, and
Yeah,
that's
so
kind of one
are.
of the whole things with the BG is like, no, it is that simple. Dude.
It
It's
is
not
so
a
simple.
fucking magic trick. It's not a magic crystal. This
isn't
cult
that
has
movie
found.
It's
No,
like if there,
it's just like an
Something
understanding.
divine behind it all?
if there's
Isn't that
aliens
indication
here,
of
and
something
being able to
divine
stab
they
behind
would be
it.
it all?
able to hide themselves.
It's like
Yeah,
it's like we.
exactly.
It's
We
like,
see like 1% of the light spectrum.
Right.
If there are aliens and they're able to get to Earth, they can also hide
Sure,
themselves.
sure.
They would only be seen
From our reality.
unless they were being careless or they wanted to be seen.
Goats, dude.
Goats?
Goats are ghosts.
Oh, I heard goats.
Yeah, that's kind of said goats.
Goats, dude.
Goats.
Goats, dude.
Yeah, man.
Those
I-
clearly
I
they're
see
aliens.
exactly what you mean. Yeah.
well, you know,
Ghosts
it's,
are from space.
You
They're
see them,
here.
it's not. It's the BG. It's not super far off from like walking on stage at a
Mhm.
festival and seeing a bunch of
Yeah.
bearded guys in black jeans. They maybe some 300 plus pounds standing in a fucking field in front of the stage waiting for you to play, and it's like, I wonder what sounds are going to get these dudes going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wonder what frequencies are going to get these guys blood
Yeah.
boiling.
Yeah.
It might not be standard.
It's gotta be weed eater.
It might not be Sabrina Carpenter, is what I'm saying. You
Probably
know,
not.
maybe
More-
it's
more
more of
weed.
like
They'll get her. She'll get. She'll get the blood boiling in a different.
in a different way. It's like, oh,
the
these guys are
spectrum
gonna.
is acid bath and Sabrina Carpenter.
Yes, yeah.
It lands in weed.
It's like,
Apparently
it's like,
they're going out on tour.
is this crowd going to dig
Yeah.
resin or are they going to dig Ariana
Corona
Grande? Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone? We're approaching 2 hours now. Does anyone have any closing remarks about Dune? It's such a long book. So there's so much.
It's an
we're, like,
ambitious book to
barely
do for a book
scratching
club.
the surface.
Of
Yeah.
course,
Talking
because
about
there's no way unless you just read it for yourself and you're either like, hey, I love it, or hey,
Right.
I don't like this at all.
Who's y'all's favorite character? We'll end that way.
Oh, we don't want to end with the read through? No, do
We're gonna read the whole book. Yeah,
No,
let's do
read
it. Go
the-
ahead.
You want to do a pick a chapter and do this? No.
Yeah.
I don't,
We got this.
Who's my favorite character?
Y'all got 48 hours of straight reading, dude, right?
No.
Yeah.
Just pick like one scene.
I mean, if you got one, let's go.
We'd have to do a collective group reading of it though.
Yeah,
They'd have to.
I'm down. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
When I was a
My
kid,
answer to
I
this is
loved
a cop
Jordan.
out.
Like when I was a kid, I
What are you gonna
loved
say,
Jordan.
Paul?
No,
That's how you're
I wasn't
gonna
gonna say Paul.
You do the stairway to
I wa-
heaven.
No, 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 no. It's even worse than that.
Okay. That's not gonna be worse than mine.
Duncan. Mine's got to be.
Yes.
Duncan.
No, Duncan's great, dude. What are you
Okay,
talking
okay,
about?
okay.
Cop out?
However,
Duncan's awesome.
it's not because of this Dune book. It's
No, for
because
sure.
it's
Of course, I
because
know.
the-
Yeah,
that's
I knew them.
Yes,
And
it's
this
because
one,
of
you're
the
like, now you
implications
Yeah.
down the road. Like,
Dude, arguably Duncan is the best character in the whole fucking
I ain't
Dune
mad at
series,
that.
dude.
I ain't mad at that.
Actually,
I mean,
Top
it's
Potter.
kind of like.
I mean, honestly, Chance did just say it.
Yeah.
That kind of
Like-
he is honestly like the
And you don't realize it until the end.
I
He
know,
is,
it's kind
of
he is
like
the
the
actual
Kwisatz
Kwisatz
Haderach.
Haderach because he lived so many lives over and over again.
he is
Once
actually like
unlocks
the
that
main
genetic
character
memory,
of the
of,
fucking
like, yeah,
Yeah.
of that.
yeah. So agreed. Like,
So
yeah.
that's your answer too.
No, my original answer was Gurney. Like when I first read the book, when I
Gurney's
was like,
great. I mean, there's no
14 or
wrong
15.
answer. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
yeah,
Nah, that
Every
one's wrong.
answer
for whatever reason, like I liked the thing about the ballast set. Like I don't know, like I remember as a kid,
Gurney's
like
great, dude. He's so-
yeah, like I
What
liked
about
it.
you, David?
I was
What's your
so
favorite
excited when he
character?
showed up again. I was like, oh good, he's not dead, thank God. Like
Such a unique character.
Yeah, Gurney's the shit.
I mean,
Or, yeah.
Paul-
yeah, his whole thing.
I mean, his father, like the Leto
Lito?
Oh yeah,
or Paul. I mean, Paul.
Oh yeah, yeah, man.
yeah,
That's a great character.
yeah, like a true.
They're all great.
What about you?
But I
Alex?
think-
I hate saying this. My answer is Paul.
Yeah,
Paul.
It has to be. But it's not easy. It's not easy because Cheney, Jessica, the Baron, Aaliyah's
That's
probably
great,
my,
dude.
Aaliyah's like close.
and
second.
comes out of left field.
Aaliyah
very
might
much.
be my answer, actually.
Okay.
But Paul also is he's my favorite. We've done we did The Prince by Machiavelli,
Mhm.
Niccolo Machiavelli. And that's where that archetype comes from. That's where the Machiavellian anti-hero originates. Was not in fiction. It was Machiavelli's letters to his friend in prison,
Mhm,
is where the Machiavellian leader comes from.
mhm.
And
Or the
it's
Medicis,
textbook Machiavelli.
Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, I think, we're all pretty Machiavellian, and that's not an insult. Like what it means is you're a logical, you can think about it this way. A good parent feeds themselves before they feed their child, because you can't feed your child if you're dead.
Yeah.
Right? That's Machiavellian, is you put yourself first because you're not in a position to lead unless you've done that.
Mhm.
And it's not obvious. It's not the thing you would think, but if you think about it long enough, you come to that conclusion.
Objective
And
survival.
Paul's like, that is how you get to the ends justify the means.
Right.
Is you gotta look ahead. You gotta see the future and say, it's not good that I do this, and I really don't want to, but this is the only way we get to this outcome. And that's Paul is the best character, I think, but it's not an easy decision for me.
Okay.
Aaliyah's a close second.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm gonna go full black hat with this one. But it's kind of it's honestly based off, if you ask me who's my favorite character in this book, Paul is probably my favorite, not probably, definitely my favorite protagonist, right? Part of that is because of how his journey takes shape in Messiah. It undermines the typical hero's journey. Duncan Idaho's, I mean, he ends up being, he's there in all the books, and
Yep,
and also like Duncan Idaho, his relationship, him and Gurney's relationship with Paul in the first
Yeah.
Dune book is so cool, dude. Because like
The War Master and the Sword Master.
right, and Paul's dad, Leto, who is genuinely a fucking good guy
Mhm,
and has a good plan. He just doesn't have time to execute.
mhm.
Even though he's got so much on his plate and he can't be with Paul all the time, you have Duncan and you have Gurney there, who really helped like fill that fatherly role for Paul. And they all play this huge role in the development of Paul and the skills, yada yada yada. My favorite character in this book right here, I'm going the Baron.
I knew you were gonna
gonna
say
say
that.
that.
I
also
I'm going the Baron, dude. And I'll tell you what, he's such a piece of shit, dude. He is despicable. He is everything that you loathe or you should loathe in society. Human, like however you want to fucking phrase it. He represents everything.
Our basest desires.
Right,
Yeah,
like
dude,
it's
he's
still
a
very
fucking
well
shark.
represented. Yeah,
But
He's
he's
such a good character.
such an amazing antagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of because of Paul
I
and
totally
their trade.
agree.
It's like, and I do think Like it's very hard to say, like in the realm of sci-fi, like okay, Darth Vader's up there, Palpatine from Star Wars, like they might
They don't come close.
like
No.
like they might have such like an ingrained
Like cultural significance.
right that it's hard to be like who's the best sci-fi villain. If you're asking me who the best science fiction villain
Oh,
is,
for sure.
I kind of think it's the fucking
Yeah.
Baron, dude.
That's the thing.
He's
is-
such a
Yeah.
now that's a worthy adversary.
Yeah.
He's such a worthy adversary of the
Worthy
Atreides
fucking
because
adversary, dude.
because as good as Leto is and what he's
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
instill,
That's very.
what he represents, the Baron is the fucking
Yeah.
It's
complete
archetypes.
antithesis, dude.
It is archetypal
Yeah.
characters.
It's very much.
And I always like a good bad
Yeah.
guy, even though I don't root for them. It's not the same as rooting for them.
Right,
He's
you're
a
definitely
piece
not-
of shit.
you're not
Is he a
rooting for the
great
Baron.
character?
No, no, no.
No, but
Because
like
he's
you
a
said,
horrible person, but it's
Base
such a
desires
great villain,
represented.
dude.
I think
If
the
you
Baron's
can
a-
see your
a
base
great answer.
desires in a character, that makes it
Yeah.
more sort of like
Well,
real
you
and
tab-
believable.
and it's like-
it's not that you want to do those things, but you're like, oh, I could see myself doing
Well,
that.
it's-
if
well,
I
it's
was
like
a
that- it's
fucked
also
up
just like
person.
he
You know, like,
represents-
it's weird. It's a weird line.
He
but it's
represents
like,
everything that is basically taboo.
yeah,
And,
Yeah.
Yep.
right.
and
Well,
it's
it's,
just so
And he's unabashed about it.
Yeah,
He's-
doesn't give a
He's
fuck.
not. There's just no emotion associated.
He is
This
the
is just
sh-
what I'm gonna do.
exactly.
Right.
He's the shark swimming in the middle of the ocean
Shark.
that finds
Water
someone
rally.
straight and it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking eat you, dude.
That's a
You're
perfect
here in
way to
front of me,
describe it. He is
and
the
I'm
shark from
gonna
Jaws.
Legs first, so you gotta
Yes.
watch, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Right,
dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good.
Have y'all read Blood Meridian?
No, but I
Yeah.
fucking want to,
It's
dude.
the
fucking,
judge.
yeah, the judge.
Exactly. That's his
The
it's
judge is the Baron,
Mhm.
and like
just pure
he is-
evil,
he,
dude.
He is. He is.
Greed
He's
and
like
evil, dude.
An elemental force of evil, like to
Yeah.
the point where it's just undeniable. It's like
It's an
There's no good
Yeah.
interaction you're gonna have with this person.
no,
There's
no.
not a single one. If
you know
if-
its nature.
well,
it's
it's
like,
like-
the scorpion and the frog. Like when the frog swims the scorpion across the river and the scorpion stings it. The scorpion's
That's
like,
its
you know, it's a
nature.
fucking scorpion.
exactly,
That's
dude.
what it
That's
is.
the
Yeah.
fucking Baron. And
Yeah.
there's a whole thing with like in the first Dune book, man. They talk about how so many of the great houses despise the Harkonnens,
Right.
and despise the Baron. And they don't agree with their methods. They all think he's kind of fucking gross, and the house is sadistic. But everybody puts up with it because he makes everyone so much fucking money.
Yep.
Because he
Yeah.
does know how.
And again, going to the Machiavellian thing, the Baron himself manipulates
He's kind of
fate
the most
and the
Machiavellian.
beast
The whole,
both.
yeah, dude.
Like
No,
he
it's a-
sets the beast up for failure.
That's what
Like,
Paul's headed towards.
He makes the beast
Exactly.
a tyrant,
Paul is
but a
headed
petty tyrant. The
towards-
beast is the petty tyrant. The beast is like the tyrant that
yeah,
that
he's
the Baron thinks they need for the universe, but Paul understands what the real tyrant.
well, no,
would
no, the
actually have
beast,
to
the
do.
beast with the Baron. This is the thing that's so cunning is the Baron's like, fuck, Hyder died.
Yeah.
I was gonna give Arrakis to Hyder.
Yeah.
Ultimately, because I figured
Oh,
he
yeah,
would choose
yeah,
that.
That's right.
But he dies. Raban's a fucking idiot. But Raban's a taskmaster. He's gonna basically be able to like make all these people hate him.
Right.
He'll drive them to the brink.
I mean, everyone loves Fate.
Yeah, they'll revolt against Raban because he's a fucking idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just a taskmaster. He's a slave master. If you will. That's it. That's all he's good for. They'll revolt. He's gonna bring in fucking Fade to be the savior of Arrakis. Fade's cunning. He's political. He can inherit the responsibility of what the Baron has built for the Harkonnens. Raban's the guy that's like he's angry because he's always the last one in the room to figure out what's going on.
Who's
He's an idiot.
Who's David's favorite character?
Well, he said later.
He said later.
Oh, he said Leto?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not stunned. You're stunned.
Well,
I don't know. I know where I am.
we could probably keep this going another
Good.
18 hours, but I think it's probably time to wrap it up. Is anything we missed that we absolutely have to talk about?
We talked a lot about like the female that you
Dude.
see in a group full of dudes talking about this thing. But like that's a big deal back in the 60s, man. Like I remember like as a
Dude's
14,
full of
15-year-old reading
powerful
like
The Benny
about
Gesserit are
Jessica.
fucking sick.
And
dude.
again, not to bring it back.
That's
to
my favorite
Tolkien, 'cause that's what I'm
faction
trying to do.
in
But
Dune.
between
Yeah.
this and Tolkien, like if
Tolkien, you have like Eowyn, and Eowyn especially, when I first read Lord of the Rings, like the horse girl in Tolkien was like the powerful female character in that story. Like Arwen in the films, they make her a bigger deal, but she's not necessarily in the story. But again, like Jessica was such a big deal for me for like a first time reader in this story.
Jessica.
Him putting her that like prominently forward, Chani, the princess who the whole book you're reading her little captions, but you don't see her till the very end. You're like, who the fuck is this princess? And then, oh, that's who this is, you know? So yeah, just I don't know. He his wife, like Connor said, I didn't realize for the longest time that he and his wife were so collaborative.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That is cool. I didn't know that either.
She is just as equally as responsible for the creation of the whole thing. Yeah, she was
Well, this is
essentially
some-
his partner.
Apparently, some of the details, like some of the world creation,
Yeah,
had a lot to do with it. He bounced a lot of ideas off his
came from her. Yeah, like he worked very equally with her as far as the creative process.
Nice.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Any final notes on Dune? Good. Thanks for being here, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us, brother.
And
Go read Dune. Go watch the movies.
I mean, there is no all-encompassing Dune conversation, but I think we
Love you,
did an okay job.
Yeah.
I think the all-encompassing Dune conversation is just the collection of memes that show someone asking a very simple question, and then the other cartoon character having a caption bubble that just encompasses like the next 3
And
slides.
an iceberg that goes down.
And it's just like it's a rabbit hole of
It is a
For sure.
rabbit
what
hole.
It just goes on forever.
there
right?
is no end.
A Raverick Reddit hole.
Yes.
Rabbit
Raverick Reddit
Reddit
hole.
hole.
Raverick rabbit hole.
And next month, Alice,
What are we doing?
we are reading. Can I get a drum roll? You got a bunch of musicians here. It says William Shakespeare.
Never heard of him.
You mean Sir
Sounds
Francis
like a
Bacon?
douchebag.
Yeah, actually, I totally agree.
Sounds- No.
We're reading. Well, we were gonna before I tore it in half. We were gonna read. It's called Midsummer
Oh.
by Ari Aster.
Yeesh.
No, it's Midsummer Night's Dream. We're reading Shakespeare. Don't
Don't tear it.
rip it in half.
No.
That's right.
There's a guy that
There's
you know,
tape. There's tape here somewhere.
There's tape.
I
No,
respect,
no,
I respect
yeah.
the commitment to the MIP.
Don't even worry about it.
I've never read any Shakespeare.
That was a good bit.
So I'm interested in
Yeah,
that. I'm interested. I've never read any Shakespeare before.
That was one thing we didn't touch on, like the like all the little terms that he comes up
I
with.
said I shall not harm him.
Blue eyes.
Yeah.
eyes of the bat, all that shit.
I also want to say I got the modern English version of Midsummer Night's Dream. So if you're tuning in next month and you want to read along, I recommend getting the simplified,
Mhm.
like readable version
Old English is a bitch.
right next to the Old English version, so you can get both versions of it. That's what I'd recommend to do. But with let's go ahead and close up here. Check out Karma Vulture.
Yeah. Check out Karma Vulture.
Check out Karma Vulture, and check out Catch Fire, and check out Gaze Within on Instagram.
Gays
And-
within.
Gaze Within.
There's gays within all of us.
There's gay.
We each have two.
All of
wolves.
them.
Some are artistic, some are gay.
Inside you, there are 2 wolves. That's pretty gay, dude.
One's
See, Alex.
autism, the other one's gay.
Yeah.
Inside me, there's
Schizophrenia.
wolves. Both of them are retarded.
One wolf is not enough.
Yeah. That is what you're inside of us all. We're getting spit roasted by 2 wolves,
Yep.
and we'll see you next
Dire
time.
wolves. Okay, bye.
Yes, not
See
Bye,
ya.
Alice.